I think we might actually be going. Now, let's see how long it goes here before it clicks into live at the studio. Hopefully, you've hung with me for a little bit here. What is it? It's already 7 minutes late. Wow, way to go. um, I have a 20-second delay, so I'm not sure if I'm even on yet at this point. I keep getting symbols that say I'm live. I'm ready to go. All right. Well, there we go. We got a little something to change. Maybe you're actually seeing me now. Let's see what happens here. Now, all right. Hey, all right. I don't know what's going to happen on that. You never know how things are going to go, especially when you're trying to run the show yourself, right? What's going on, what you're going to run into, and, how you're going to get systems set up. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. Maybe there'll be all kinds of different things that'll be out there, and you'll be like, what is going on with this guy? For instance, I still, I'm not sure how much audio you're getting out there. It was great the other day when we tested it. But let's get into it. All right, 9:09 a.m. So it took about 9 minutes to get everything set up and to get onto YouTube and to be able to start doing a couple things here and there. Going through OBS. I'm running the whole system myself, folks, so be ready for that. That's the thing. So, good morning. How's that? We'll start off with good morning, Lafayette. How about West Lafayette, Tippecanoe County, and all of you Boilermaker fans out there? Welcome to the very first episode of Let's Talk Lafayette. I always thought this was something that was needed. We don't have anything real local. That you can talk to people, chat to people. You can get on and chat with me right here on YouTube Live, of course, and I'll be able to see it when you get on there, or if anybody gets on there. Right now it doesn't look like anybody's in there, which is great, but we'll just keep moving forward anyway. This is going to be your daily spot for what's going on in our community, across the country maybe, and around the world, all with that, local Hoosier twist that we have here. I'm Brian Burden, your host, with more than, let's call it 43 years calling the weather out there. Yes, I'm the weather caller. I'm the guy who you hate when things go bad and love when weather's doing great. But you only tend to remember the things that are bad. I've seen it all, from those brutal blizzards. I've been to Antarctica. I've been brutal blizzards here in Indiana, of course. And I've seen beautiful blue skies and heat waves throughout the state, too. And, of course, I'm a diehard sports fan, too. I love the Cubs. I love anybody from Chicago. Purdue, gold and black. I kind of bleed it like many of us do here in the local community. And it's one of those things that we will probably cover a lot. Purdue sports, I really like to get into that. I'll cover a lot of weather when I can. Anything local that we'll get into, we'll try to cover that too. And, of course, national and world. There's all kinds of big stuff. It looks like somebody went and broke in some of the windows at our vice president's home in Ohio. Now, there you go. That's some breaking news. It just came out in the last few minutes, just to kind of give you an idea what you might run into coming across my desk as I go through the day each day. Trying to cover 3 hours. Don't know if I can talk 3 hours, but we'll see how it goes along that front. So, a lot of things to get into. Hey, it's Monday, January 5th, 2026. It's a new year. There's all kinds of fresh starts for people out there. And we're kicking it off together right here from 9 to noon every day, Monday through Friday. I'm going to go with this thing for like 6 months and see how many of you hook in and try to see what's going on. We'll start with the Lafayette Lowdown. That's what I like to call it, which is basically your local news, your weather, Purdue stuff, events, and those great stories about our folks around here in our community. Then we'll zoom out to national headlines that hit close to home, of course, and finish with some global stuff that might affect us all. And it may jump and move and go in different directions depending on what's going on any given day. So that's kind of how it's going to work out at this point. We'll see a little bit of everything. We'll see a little bit of the things that are around our local area mainly. something that I thought Lafayette really needed and something that we'll get into. But first things first, let's talk about weather. Now, I've got all kinds of little bells and whistles and buttons here I want to push to kind of show you a few of these things. Right now, there's my local what I call a symbol, I guess, for the show. There's my live shot, and then I'm going to go to some main screens occasionally and show you what's going on there, and we'll try to kind of bounce around and see some of those as I learn some of the bells and whistles. But I really want to get into some of the, let's call it the weather, right? We're talking weather all the time. Now I could throw a little bug up there right now and show you exactly what the weather looks like, and you could tune in just for that and not do anything else, right? But why would you want to do that when you have the opportunity to see the weather on different places and different times? So here's a little bug that we could pop up on there, right? I think you're going to be able to see that. Now, so it's like 33 degrees outside. It's sunny, but we got a little mix of some haziness and some clouds. And most of the day is going to be kind of mostly sunny. We're going to see highs in the mid to upper 40s. Not quite, well, for some of you, it probably is going to be some motorcycle weather later this afternoon. And it might be something that you really like and enjoy. It just depends on how you're going through the day and what you're going through, right? Everybody's got their temperature that they like and they dislike. For me, I can ride my motorcycle all the way down to about 32 pretty easily. I've ridden much colder than that before for some long trips. And for locally, though, lately, we've got a slingshot now instead of a motorcycle. Maybe tomorrow I might get out there, as we might get up into the mid-50s tomorrow. I might bring that slingshot out in the afternoon tomorrow or Wednesday. But there'll be some chance of some rain late Wednesday into Thursday, it looks like, in the forecast, even though the temperatures will be in the upper 50s by Thursday and into Friday, more spring-like than anything else. Then we'll start to see a drop back off of that from later on in the week. So that's kind of what you're going to see here. Now, that's the current weather. That's just a bulb, a little bug there, 33 degrees and sunny. I might pop that up every once in a while. But I like to go to these kind of things, the models. Now, this is out of the College of DuPage. And the College of DuPage puts out some really good weather data. And I've set it up where I can kind of see snow in my blues and rain in the greens. And it's got all my pressure on there and everything like that. And I can run through time frames. Now, this is the high resolution rapid refresh model. So it does about 18 to 36 hours depending on what hour you're getting it. And what we can look at right now, and hopefully you can see the cursor, is the low that's going to develop out to our west, just south of Des Moines, to the west of Springfield out there in the next day or so. Probably overnight tonight, you'll start to see more of it. And as it pops through the area, could bring us a few sprinkles tomorrow morning, it looks like. You can kind of see a little wave there. It's kind of where the warm front's pushing through. You can see some of that up to the north also. But this little wave right here could pop a little sprinkles in the morning tomorrow morning. It looks like around 12 Zulu, which is actually around 7 o'clock, and then 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It kind of clears through, goes through pretty rapidly there. And then there's a little shot of a little bit more moisture. It looks like that's his Tuesday night into Wednesday, and it starts to clear off. Okay, so that's the high resolution rapid refresh, which goes out to 12Z on Wednesday at this point. And that would be 7 o'clock Wednesday morning for this on that. And what we want to notice is that behind the system, there's going to be some colder temperatures coming in. Let's switch over to the temperature for you. Surface temperatures. And you notice there's a pocket right here. It's in the 40s. When we go back a little bit, it shows some upper 40s for today, and then tomorrow pushing up into the 50s. And then there's a little bit of cold air along the back side back here that'll drop in for the nighttime hours before we get that southerly flow to kick back in from the south. Now, that's the higher resolution rapid refresh. We go out a little farther. Let's go out for the NAM, which is North American model. Shows you some of the temperatures, too, still on this local area. This is a little closer in shot. And it goes a little farther out. This goes out to like Thursday and shows you some of the potential with some of the warm air just to our south, trying to push up into our local area. And another low out to our west. Now, this one's a little bit stronger, has a little more punch to it. Something we need to keep an eye on for sure. We switch it over to the precipitation. I'll go into the winter mode so I can see it like I did before. You can see the rain coming in. That would be Thursday. So here's what this model says. The North American model kind of shows just that shot of some sprinkles tomorrow morning, right? Let's get a time frame on that. The same time frame, 12Z roughly. So we're talking 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning. Looks like chance of showers start 7, 8, 9. And remember, model-wise and weather-wise, a lot of times we're hitting the weather, but, an hour one direction or 2 or 3 one way or the other is always something that changes over time. And the farther out you go, the better chance it's going to miss. But I tell you what, right now, anytime within 24 hours of a system, it's pretty accurate as to what it's going to do when it comes into your area. So some sprinkles linger all day tomorrow. That's that gloomy, cloudy day tomorrow, with the light chance of showers early morning. Right here's where Lafayette is, just to give you an idea where that black box is, and then some chances of some sprinkles maybe later as the clouds go through. Not real cold yet. Tomorrow it's still warm, and then later here comes that low pressure building up. Now you can see it over in Kansas area, just north of Oklahoma there, and then it will push some rain in. That looks like midday Thursday, first real potential. It doesn't look great. It looks like most of the rain is back out towards the west, and this is a little bit less. But some scattered showers during the day on Thursday, and then into the evening hours, it looks like the low will approach and come over us, and then press on through with some of the colder air coming in behind it. You can see some of that back off towards the northwest we just talked about a little bit ago. And then if you really want to go out there and you want to go farther out, we can go to the GFS, the global model. And here's the same time on Thursday. It shows the rain a little bit farther off to the south. So you see the timing's different. And this is the 6Z model. It's not updated yet to the 12Z time frame. But it shows the rain passing through. Its time frame shows more overnight on Thursday into Friday, maybe some lingering showers on Friday, and then there's a quick little kick of a low-pressure system that comes in over Lake Michigan Friday night into Saturday, and that will usher in some of the colder air again. And the blue dash lines here, those are indicative more of the colder air. When you get to your thicknesses, we look for things like the 540 line, which is the 5400 line right through here, the solid blue line. That one is the one that kind of shows you where your freezing temperatures usually are. Chances of snow are there behind that and north of that, usually, if you're thinking about weather. But look at this. Not much for rain, not much for anything. There's some colder. There's a little shot off the lake when the winds turn north. This is way out next Thursday, so it looks pretty dry again, other than the weak system moving through tomorrow and the stronger system trying to come through later in the week. And there's just not a lot there. There's just not a lot there. A typical winter is what we're starting to set up with there. Let's look at the temperatures. Let's go back to where we are now, and you see the warmth coming up from the south, mid-40s to, and a lot of times some of these models I'm going to adjust a little bit because they seem to always be a little low. So, and we'll adjust if they're a little high at times too. It just depends on the actual model and what we're going through. Some 50s there. Then here we are. There's the 50s again on Thursday, Friday, 50s, and you notice there's that little shot right there. The high on Friday, 54 it shows in Lafayette, but 58, there it is. So we'll be pushing close to 60 on Friday, it looks like. And then the colder air starts to come back in and it starts to look a little more like winter, dropping back into the 20s by Sunday morning, and your highs are only in the 30s. In the 30s, there's a quick little shot of some 40s on Monday. So you can see we're more of a pattern. There's another little wave that kind of presses through. That was that one that was to the north. You can kind of see the kink in the dark lines here, the isobars, showing where the front kind of pushes through, and the cold air is bottled up back up here towards our northwest. And it does come back down and settles into more like winter with temperatures probably in your 30s for your highs, even 40s occasionally, teens and 20s at night. And then there's a big push of some cold air. It looks like this is mid-January, January 19th it's showing, so 2 weeks from now. That's how far out the GFS goes. And you can see some differing temperatures in there. So it's a long-term thing, weather is, and what you'll see at times and given times, what you're going to see out there. There's just a lot of different things with the full screens, with the different manners of what you're going to see that I'm going to try to show you from time to time. And then we'll get back to where we are. Let's come back straight to me on this. You notice I'm going to have the computer pop in and out at times because I don't have anybody running anything. It's just me doing it. My buddies out there who kind of work on some of this stuff. Raj, you know who you are. You're probably tickled pink to see some of that stuff going on. and what people are watching and what they're seeing and laughing at, because it's kind of being done just by me at this point. All right, so that's where we are on that front. Let's see what else is going on. That was the weather. That'll probably be the first 10 or 15 minutes of every show, folks. I'm going to talk a little bit about weather, what I've seen, what I'm going to see. What would you say? Quote, a winter weather expert, because I've been to Antarctica in the United States Antarctic program, and I was in that program from 2001 to 2020. 2019 or 20 was the last time I did some work with them, and I was full-time with them for about 15 years. Went down to Antarctica 8 different times, 6 times in the summer, 2 times in the winter for about 4 to 6 months every single time. It was a great job. It was interesting. Before that, I was your weather forecaster at WLFI from 1997 to 2003. I had gone to Antarctica right in the middle of there for 6 months and came back to the TV station for a while. And I love that, and I want you to go back to WFI and make sure you look at the local news, not just weather, but your sports and the local things, because slowly it's going to all be taken over, right? I know I've heard a lot of complaints about people saying, hey, they're not even doing anything at the stations anymore. Well, that's true. They can do things from different locations. Like I'm doing this from my house, basically, is where I'm doing it, from my little studio that I've kind of set up. Well, TV stations can do the same thing too. They'll still have some reporters roaming around, and that's where you're going to get your information. But if you don't support them and watch them, they're going to eventually fall away. And then what's going to happen is you're only going to have Indianapolis. And Indianapolis isn't going to cover Lafayette that well, right? The Lafayette stations. And right now you got Star and you got WLFI out there, and watch either one of those. And support your newspapers, right? A lot of the information I'm going to talk about on a daily basis is going to come from those places because they're local. They're going to have that info, and I'll be able to tell you what's going on, and hopefully you'll be able to see some of that too, and kind of figure out what you're doing. So, hey, SPOR team, what is that? I'm right here. I got to know who that is. Great to see you on that one, SPOR team. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's someone's going to have to who is at SPOR team? Let me know who you are, and we'll figure that out. That'll be kind of fun to figure out what's going on with that one. And can I chat from there? Or is that even me chatting? So kind of cool things that I'm going to learn as I go along during the day-to-day, and figuring out how to chat with people. I know I can read everything pretty well, so that's a good thing. I know the live stream is working. I can see it on YouTube, so I'm good there. We've got a bug. I've got questions. I've got all kinds of data to go through. The big question is, can I talk for 3 hours? And many of you think I can, so I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm also a pastor at one of the local churches here, Innovation on the South Side. And being a talker is great when you want to do a podcast or get up on stage and start preaching. But as a pastor, you got to start to learn to listen. And I've been telling everybody and their brother, I'm not good at that. And I'm working so hard at that. I don't even do a great job with my family. My wife is, it seems like my mind's always off somewhere else, or I'm talking all the time and I'm controlling this, the conversation. Or I'll hear someone talking about something and I had this great idea I want to add into it. Aren't many of you like that too? Well, that's me. So does that mean I can talk for 3 hours? I don't know. I've already gone on for 25 minutes and haven't covered much more than just the weather, so maybe I can. But hopefully you'll stick with me and we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's see what else we got today. I got kind of a lineup set up that I want to kind of go through, get some ideas. What are we going to cover? What are we going to go through? And from time to time, I may pop into different screens to show you some of that. From time to time, I may just pop it up on my screen so I can see what I'm going to be going through and what I'm going to be looking at. And kind of here's the setup. From every morning from 9 to 9:05, I'm probably just going to come on and say, how's it going? Give you a little teaser. Welcome to us. See some of the top stories you might see today. Probably from 9:05 to 9:20, maybe 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about weather. We're going to see how things are going. Maybe there's a milder thaw coming, cold snaps, things like that. Then we're going to go into some local stories if we have them. I'm going to call it like the deep dive or something like that, right? We'll come up with some cool name. We'll name all of these things. Let's Talk Lafayette sounded pretty good. Kind of flows pretty good. We might talk some sports. We might hit some of your chat or some emails. If you know my email, go ahead and hit me up there. and we'll just cover a little bit of everything. And I'm big on sports. I'm big on weather. I love the local area and all the different things that are going on here. And I think that that is what you guys want to talk about. So while I may be running the show and talking about things, it's your show. If you want to talk about something, get in the chat and we'll try to do that, and we'll try to talk about it. Eventually, I'll maybe have a phone hooked up and we can do that too. Maybe, voicemails, different, all kinds of different things as shows go on. I'm just really starting with this, and I'm learning as you are, probably. Some of you have tried some of this before on how to work it, all right? So you'll have to bear with me. The second hour, we may focus more on the national news, right? Get an American angle on different things that happen. Look what happened over the weekend. On Friday night, our president went and basically got the president of Venezuela and took him back because of a lot of drug stuff that's been going on. Now, first off, I was expecting that on a Sunday night. I mean, not myself, but I'm sure Maduro was. That was the president of Venezuela. But he came and got him on a Friday night, which was pretty cool. We didn't lose anybody. There was some things blown up, and I'm sure some people were killed trying to support Maduro. But we needed to get that guy out of there. There's a lot of drugs going on there. I really don't want to see anybody hurt. I wish it had just, here's what we can do, Maduro. You give yourself up, blah, 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 blah. And I heard there were stories that was put out there, but he said no. He said no to it. He kept wanting to keep his power the way it was. And he should have known this is what was going to happen, And there are people on one side that are upset and people on the other side that think it's great. I want to cover both sides and see what it's like. I kind of lean right on a lot of my stuff, but I'm still kind of in the middle on plenty of things, just like most of you are. I've always said over years and years that the right side, you're probably 60% of what you believe to 75% of what you believe. You agree with what the left says, right? But there's 25% you don't. And on the left, it's the same thing. Probably 60 to 75% of what you believe agrees exactly with what the right says, but 25% you don't. What do we argue over? Well, the 25%, of course, don't we? So those are the things we got to kind of get our heads around and wrap around and think what Lafayette is thinking and what they want to do with their time and what you think about national things, local things, world things. When we get into hour 3, we may get into more world news. That may be back to the Venezuela thing. I'm hearing there's calls for the possibility of us moving in to help the people in Iran. And you say to yourself, well, we're going to bomb Iran again. Well, the people in Iran are starting to protest. They want to get their people out of there. They've been under that regime since, 1979. Remember when the hostages were taken way back then? If you weren't alive back then, you didn't know it. I was a teenager back then, and it was on the news just about every single day that they had taken hostages, and then they took over the government, basically. Tehran and Iran was a very modern country up to that point until that new regime took over. So that's kind of the ideas of what we're going to go through on a daily basis. Hopefully local is all mixed in everywhere, and maybe it's something anywhere from wind farms to how Purdue is doing their stuff to I see stuff on, like I said, the wind farms. We saw some movements on where roads are going to go. Whatever it is you want, you can kind of type it in there in the chat, and we'll talk about it. It's something I think is going to be fun, and I think you're going to enjoy it as we go through that, all right? So that's just some of the stuff. And you're going to see me look down and kind of click some buttons because it's just me, guys. It's just me. Nothing else major going on out there. And I'm just going to run through a lot of different things that I want to go through. I may cover, at least for today, right? For today, we're going to cover things like that. On a general basis. For instance, let me see if I can find some of my info, if I remember my buttons and where they're at and where they're going and what they should look like. And if I've got everything lined up. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the mild weather, right? That was the first thing we were going to talk about. I already had that lined up. We talked about that. Was your holiday travel good? Did you have good outdoor activities? Remember just literally the week right after Christmas, December 28th was the Sunday, -6 degrees that morning. Wind chill, -25 to -30. And now here we are talking about getting back into the 40s and the 50s, maybe even close to 60 by later this week. Chances of rain, a little more spring-like, before we maybe shift later in the month back towards what looks more like winter. Remember, the coldest time of the year is generally the end of January. Anywhere from like the 18th to the 30th. I've seen different numbers depending on which model and who you're looking at and talking to. But that's the time of frame when we normally get our coldest. But with the new year, there comes all kinds of news out there, right? And so I saw this story, even though we're here now 5 days later, and I think this one came out at WLFI and was about the new firstborn child, right? Isn't that awesome that they talk about things like that? And the firstborn child was born at 12:05 New Year's Eve morning. It looks like it came to Ivy Green and Jacob Joseph of Crawfordsville. The little guy weighed in at 5 pounds, 9 ounces and measured 17.5 inches, if you didn't know that, if you hadn't seen the story yet. And for being the first baby born this year at Franciscan Health Lafayette East, they gave him $1 million. No, they didn't do that. The family received a gift basket of baby-related items. That'll help them out. That's great. That came from the Franciscan Health Auxiliary Lafayette and the hospital gift shop. And congratulations to the family there. It's awesome. I see some great pictures. You can go on WLFI. I think you can go in the Journal and Courier. Don't forget them, too. And you can see some pictures of the actual baby, which is a great thing to see there on that. So that was the first baby of the year for 2026. Did I say that it was a little boy? Of course. And it looks like lots of people, as we go through the year, may pop up with different information like that. Maybe somebody has a baby that was born. They want to let people know, and you might be able to do that on here. I don't know. We're going to mold this into whatever you want it to be. And it might be that on your day, hey, Brian, say something about my new grandson that just popped up. All right? That's the kind of thing we may run into. And I like to talk about, I'm a grandfather, a father, I'm a brother. Just like everybody else out there, because unless you're female, then you're mom and grandma, that kind of thing. And I love family. I like having the family around me. I feel blessed that they are so close, that they're there. My sister, my wife, of course, my kids. One of my kids and the family and the grandsons lives with us. That's a great thing, and it's a great opportunity to get closer to them. And I hope you have your family around you, especially for your holidays. And if you didn't, that's okay. You're going to get through it. If you were by yourself, we're still here for you too. And if you got something to say, let us know. All right? So there's all kinds of things going on. Let's get into, here's one that was kind of interesting. I didn't know anything about because I live out of town now. I live out in the battleground area. And Lafayette is going to update its trash and recycling schedule for 2026. And you say, okay, well, Brian, that's not that important, is it? Is it that big a deal? Well, it affects a lot of you, doesn't it? It's going to tell you what's going to happen and where you're going to find your different things and what they're going to do. And when you get your trash out, they're going to adjust basically for the holidays, right? There'll be some new pickup times. There'll be a few holiday changes announced. It's going to affect residents, and there's going to be reminders for proper sorting also that are going to come out from time to time that you'll see on some of those. And you're going to find information on that at your Lafayette.indiana.gov website. That's one place to find it. I think the JC Online has a news story on it, and I might be able to find something somewhere later if I remember on WLFI or something like that, and we'll get a little bit more into that. It was a big weekend sports-wise locally. Okay, first off, I love Purdue, right? What is that, how they call that? Bleed gold and black all the time like everybody else talks about. Well, the same thing here for Purdue. We love everything here in Lafayette, obviously dominated by the big college that we have here, one of the top colleges in the country, if not in the world, a great leader for engineering, for ag, and they have a great men's basketball team this year, and I have been hooked on these guys for years now. And it has been exciting to see them go to the national championship game a couple years ago. We're seeing the football team is trying to make some changes and get better and get online so they can catch up with Indiana, who's fighting for a national championship themselves in football this year. And yes, unlike many of you, I'm kind of rooting for Indiana to win the thing. If they've gotten there, let's see them win it. I hope they're rooting for us if we get to the national championship in basketball. There's always some naysayers. It doesn't matter. But for me, Purdue first. But if Indiana's getting there and Purdue is not there, I'm going to root for Purdue, that's for sure. Kind of goes with my sports teams, too, when it comes to the pros. I grew up in northern Indiana, so everything's Chicago. The Bulls, the Bears, the Blackhawks, the Cubs, number one. But the White Sox are going to the World Series and the Cubs aren't. I'm rooting for the White Sox, probably just as you might be. But I'm also obviously rooting for the Cubs first. That's what I want to do. Got to a couple games last year. It was great. Hadn't been there in a long time. Had taken the kids there, maybe 20 years ago. They were still in high school, I think, at that time frame. And went on an Easter Sunday. Wondered why the tickets were so easy to get. Yeah. I had to live that one down for a while. I hear about it every once in a while, how we went to the ball game on a Sunday, on Easter Sunday, to watch the Cubs. That being said, Kerry Wood got the win, and Sammy Sosa hit a homer. I think they won 3-1. It was about 42 degrees with sunshine. Yeah, the weatherman keeps remembering what's going on there for some of those things. That was that. That's the pro sports. Love the Bears. That does not mean we won't cover Indianapolis and the Colts, right? And the Pacers, if they're doing good. And if everybody wants to talk about that, we can do that too. Those are always good things we can get into. So that's exciting. That's exciting about those. That kind of weather, that kind of cold stuff, snaps that I talk about up there will always pop back into my head about stuff. I know directions, it seems like, what the weather was in a given time, and it always seems to come into the story, if I can tell you the story without going sideways into little rabbit holes, as my wife likes to say. But let's get back to the Purdue men's basketball game. Well, just a shout out first off to the women. Last night they tried to pull off an upset. They hung close for a while, and in the fourth quarter they kind of dove away, ended up losing the ball game for them, for the Purdue women last night. But the Purdue men played on Saturday, and it was a great game. Don't really do anything here. I stream everything at home, so I don't see a lot of the games. I see a lot of information on YouTube afterwards, and then I get the highlights, and I kind of go through it from there, which is a good thing, right? Because I'm not paying for all that information anymore. But there was some excitement that happened on Friday, of course, with Purdue at Wisconsin. Now, Purdue came out in the first half, and they were ahead 45-38, but it was kind of back and forth. And I'm a little tired of people kind of saying things like, well, they're starting off slow. Well, there is another team out there, right? And it does take a little while for teams to get yourself into the realm of how you're working, how you're going to work your defense, how you're going to work your offense. You're not going to immediately score 10 points on somebody and take the lead. And I see a lot of that in some of the chats. Oh, my gosh, they started so slow. It took them 10 minutes to get a 10-point lead. Well, come on, guys. It takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it takes the first half. It might take the entire game before you pull it off. Basketball is more like that. The other team is there. They can make shots and you can miss and still do your play game, right, and play your play game, but you're still going to struggle maybe to win the game. So Saturday wasn't one of those slow starts, although it probably could be called that a little bit. It was kind of back and forth for a bit, and then when it was around the 2018 mark, score-wise, with Purdue up 20-18, Purdue started to slowly edge its way out there, and by the half, it was up 45-38. And it was, by the end of the game, they kind of moved into the second half the same way. Purdue scored 44 in the second half, but I tell you what, they only scored like 12 points in the last 10 minutes. It was slow, methodical, and what happened? Well, Braden Smith set the all-time Big Ten assist record right around that 10 to 12 mark left in the second half, and Purdue was up by 25 at that point. And then they kind of went lethargic. That last 10, 12 minutes where they only scored 12 points. I think they were up like 77 to like 50, 53 or something like that. And they got outscored 12 to 20 in the last 12 minutes of the ball game, somewhere around there. They shot 46% from the field, 37% from three. Free throws, not great. 68, still not bad, though. And rebounded. They got out-rebounded by 2. A lot of times you will lose when you do that, but they only had 7 turnovers and 8 steals to go in the game. Those were some of the big highlights, right? They improved to 13-1. They're 3 overall record, and they're 3-0 in the Big Ten Conference. First time in a while. Been a few years since that, although they've done that before. The win was 89-73 was the score at the end of the game. They were ranked number 5. We'll see what happens if anything changes. I don't think anybody in front of them lost, so they're probably again going to be number 5 in the country this afternoon. I think that comes out around noon. Don't think we'll see it before we end the show here. Purdue is 3-0 in the Big Ten for the first time since starting 12-0 back in 2017-18. Maybe you guys remember that season, many of you. And they've started Big Ten play just 3 times under Matt Painter this way. This year, of course, that 17-18 season and the 10-11 season, which is odd because they've been number 1 in the country many times over the last few years. You think that would be something that's more often they see starting 3-0 like that. That being said, the Big Ten is a gauntlet at times, and this is going to be one of those years it is too. Everyone came out and said, hey, Purdue's just going to run right through the Big Ten. And they forgot about Michigan. They forgot about Michigan State. Where'd Nebraska come from? Nebraska's come out of nowhere. That's great for Nebraska's team. And you still have the teams that you always fight, like Indiana and Illinois. No matter how good they are on any given season, those are your tough outs. So there's probably 6 to 10 games right now that could go either direction. Maybe because you're going to them, or they're just a great team. Michigan, obviously one of the best teams in the country, and their resume looks great. You know, I was looking at KenPom and some of the numbers there on their ratings on teams. And right now, Michigan is 13-0, rated number 1. They're the number 3 offensive team and the number 1 defensive team in the country. And I believe the 39.43 net rating that they have is the highest of any team that's ever had. I'd have to go back and look at that. I don't have the KenPom on here other than just checking some things and numbers out. Purdue is number 4. They're at 33.51, which is one of their highest ratings ever. They are the number 1 most efficient team in the country offensively wise. And if you have seen a video that I put out earlier in the year, I told you that I thought that the defense was going to be between 10th and 20th by the end of the season. They are now 15th, even though at one point they were like 40th or 45th in the country. So their rating is 33.51, and there's a big 2-point gap down to Gonzaga. Gonzaga is 16-1. They won again this weekend also. In front of Purdue is Michigan, Arizona State, Iowa State. That's just on the KenPom, it looks like right now. Illinois is rated pretty high, even though they've got 3 losses. They're looking pretty good. Who else in the Big Ten are we going to bump into here pretty soon? Michigan State is 15th. Illinois was 8th. And Iowa is 17th. We even forgot about them. So a lot of people think some of these teams are going to be pushovers and easy, and they just are not. They are coming in to play one of the best teams in the country in Purdue. They are coming in to try to get a big-time win, and these games are going to be hard-fought. That's what you get in the Big Ten, all right? So the game on Friday, pretty cool. I got some of these numbers straight off of the men's basketball side in Purdue. The game was Matt Painter's 700th as a head coach. He's now 484 and 216. What a record. And they've run 5 straight games by a combined 133 points. That's 26.6 points per game that they've won the last 5 games in. That was after that devastating loss against Iowa State, where Iowa State kind of looked like Purdue. They came out and played like Purdue, and it was at Purdue, and they made Purdue look a little silly. And that happens once, twice, maybe even 3 times a year. So be prepared for something like that to happen. Some good teams can get through those, and Purdue is a good team, and sometimes win those games, but a lot of times they end up losing them. It's just because they didn't make shots and the other team did. The other team played great defense, and maybe yours was good but not good enough. Maybe their offense was a little better. Whatever it is, it's always, you can't count on other teams just rolling over and losing for you because you're some great team that everybody seems to think they always are. Purdue had 5 people in double figures again. Let's see what else. They snapped a 2-game losing streak to the Badgers, and the win was Purdue's largest against Wisconsin in the Kohl Center. That's up in Wisconsin, up in Madison, ever. Purdue has the most wins in the Kohl Center for a visiting team with 8. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't realize that was such a big number. 8. So it looks like when you go up to Wisconsin, you go to the Kohl Center. It's kind of like coming to Mackey. It's hard to win there, isn't it? So Purdue is now 3-0. On the road with wins over Alabama, Rutgers, and Wisconsin, and the closest game was Alabama at 7 points. Purdue is 21-11 in Big Ten road games since the start of the 22-23 season, including 3-0 at the Kohl Center. So we've been doing pretty good as we go up there. Again, 8 big-time wins up there. Oscar Clough had a double-double. Braden Smith had a double, 14 points, 12 assists. Oscar had 12 points, 11 rebounds. TKR was great. He had great numbers. Braden Smith became, of course, the Big Ten's all-time leader in career assists with 893. After having, 14 points and 12 assists, he moved into 18th place on the NCAA career list. Now he needs about, I think it shows here, 184 assists to set the all-time NCAA career record, and that was set by Bobby Hurley at 1,076. I was hoping he was just going to go on this pace and Painter would kind of leave him in, even in the games they were in blowouts, and he might average around 12 assists. Well, he's almost at 10 right now. And if he had averaged 12 assists all season, he would have broke the record over Bobby Hurley, the big record, the NCAA career record, at the game against Indiana. That would have been cool on, I think it's like February 20th. Right now, it looks like it's going to happen right at the end of the season or just as they get into the Big Ten tournament later this year. So I'm excited about that. You're not going to see things like this again because these people move around. These players that are really good and do these kind of things don't stick around. Braden, loyal to his team, loyal to his university, his buddies, his coach, and all of us here in Indiana, and we are just lucky to have him, feel blessed to have a great team, and I'm excited to see them go all the way to the national championship possibly this year. And I called at the beginning of the year they would do it, and that they would only have 3 losses on the season. We'll see. I thought they'd have 1 in the preseason. They have already done that. And they would have 1 or 2 during the Big Ten season, and that was before I knew Michigan was going to be as good. That being said, and maybe 1 in the Big Ten tournament. So that's a high bar to get above where I was shooting for. And 12 assists for Braden every single game was a high thing. But he's done it already, 3 times? He's had 12 or more. He's averaging almost 10. It's great. Fletcher was the big man, all right? He scored 20 this week. Looks like his 3 is starting to come back around. He had a little slump there for a while where he was shooting around 20, 25%. I think he was like 4 of 10 on the weekend, on the game Saturday. And they improved to 11-1 during his career when he scores at least 20 or more points. And I can remember some of those great games that people weren't expecting it. And it's like, here's Fletcher again. He's doing it again. They keep looking at him and thinking, this guy can't do it, and he does it anyway. Lawyer also had, again, it says 4 3-pointers, and Purdue is now 19-0 in his career when he makes at least 3-pointers. And many of us are saying, and it looks like he's starting to do it, he needs to shoot 10 times a game from 3. 10 times. He makes 3, 4, 5 of those every single game. We are, what did they say? In fuego. We're hot because he will be guiding what's going on. Now they got to start watching him more, and the guys down low, TKR, Clough, are going to make it much easier on them as they make it much easier on the guys on the outside. But you got to make those outside shots, and we all would love to see Lawyer just start burying those. Braden, though, assist after assist. He had a spinning assist where he turned backwards and flipped it back to, I don't remember who it was coming up, but for a slam. It was awesome. That was kind of on a fast break. He's dumping it all over the place. Sometimes I think to myself he should have about 20, but I want the guys to make every shot. It's not like they're trying to miss, but they are missing from time to time, just like anybody would in that given situation. So there was a lot going on there. He's now the Big Ten's career assist leader. Fletcher scored 20. They defeated Wisconsin 89-73. What other kind of highlights do we have here? Since the loss, that defeat dropped Purdue from number 1. That was against Iowa State back on December 8th. The Boilermakers have won each of their last 5 games by an average of 26.6. C.J. Cox had 14 points. Oscar Clough had his 12. TKR is 11. I want to get something across to everybody. TKR is scoring less because he wants the team to win. He's rebounding more, and he's scoring less because he wants the team to win. There will be games he scores 25 because we'll need him. But there will be lots of games where he just scores 15 to 20, and he's there pulling out 5 to 10 rebounds. And Clough will be the guy who's like 12 points and 10 rebounds. And DJ, it looks like he'll be somewhere around that same mark. I predicted that the 2 guys, Clough and our big man, would be kind of ranking together, would be somewhere close to 20 rebounds and somewhere close to 20 points each game. And I'll bet if you look at it right now, they're probably like 18 and 18 is probably the average between the 2 guys. All right, so that would be great to see the 2 big men come together and come around a 20-20 each game. But 18 to 18, who can complain about that, right? One guy on Wisconsin scored great, 24 points, Nick Boyd. He had a great game. Nolan Winter added 18, so it was kind of just a 2-man game there for Wisconsin. And Winter had double-double with 18 points and 10 rebounds himself. So it was an exciting weekend with that game. Congratulations to Braden. We all love him. We're excited to see where he's going with all of this. We're excited to see where Purdue's team is going and what they're going to be accomplishing over the next few, not only years, but this year especially, because things are going so well and the team is doing so well right now. So we're excited about that. Like I said, don't be afraid to chat. I'm going to type it in here right now. Do not be afraid to chat. That's if anybody's even out there, right? And if I didn't just yell into the microphone a bunch, guys, I would make all kinds of mistakes. And don't be afraid to go ahead and subscribe, right? That just kind of helps out. It doesn't cost you anything. Just go click on the button, subscribe. That'd be great, too. Do not be afraid to chat with me. There we go. All right. And the reason I say, like, don't be afraid to chat with me and go ahead and subscribe and do that kind of thing is because subscribing doesn't cost anything. I'm not looking to make $1 million. I'm just looking to have a nice little talk show for people to have fun with and enjoy and be able to talk. It feels like there's just nothing in Lafayette right now that has that, and I want that to kind of pop up and be in your site, something where you can come and talk to different people. So that's kind of where we're going with that front right now. Let's see what else we got in store for you today. That was Purdue, right? Let's stick with Purdue here for a second. I got a story about Purdue's Top Farmer Conference is set for January 9th, so 4 days from now. It's in person at the Beck Center. I guess you can go online, it looks like. There's going to be ag experts there sharing their insights, and there's going to be lots of keys for local farmers planning their 2026 season. You can go to Who's Your Ag Today. Let me see if I can pop this up here for you guys to see. See if I can figure this one out right. Let's go to the full screen real quick. There we go. Back to it. There you go. Insights from ag experts. Purdue's Top Farmer Conference returns January 9th. Remember, big-time engineering school, big-time ag school. It's great to see these folks. We know a lot of our farmers out there have been to Purdue and done different things there. Conference is going to have all kinds of people. So if you're interested in that, don't be afraid to go attend on Friday, January 9th. What's the time here? See if I can find some time on this. One-day conference. Well, it's probably going to be all day, but when people speak is hard to say. There it is. Top Farmer Conference registration now. You can see the people, some that are going to talk. Ben Brown, Russell Hilberry, Trey Malone, Joanna Calusi, Dan Quinn, Sean Castile, and Michael Langamier. Those are the folks that are going to be talking on Friday, January 9th. It's a hybrid event, so I guess it sounds like you can register and go to the conference, or you can get online, which a lot of us are doing nowadays. That's why you're probably listening to me right now. So there's one of the things you can do, and there's a site you can go to right there. The Who's Your Ag Today and the insights from the ag system there. All right, so that's another thing that's going on at Purdue. And, of course, Purdue's got another basketball game coming up Wednesday night. It's Monday right now, all right? So Wednesday night they've got a game coming up, and we'll maybe talk about that a little bit later. What other kind of news is going on out there? Well, I saw this story. It's at WLFI. A West Lafayette man is sentenced in aggravated battery case. He's getting 20 years for a 2024 shooting. Folks, why? Why are we doing these kind of things? It's easy to say in my mind. I can't think that way. I'm not sure how this person was thinking, but it's kind of crazy. And the community kind of safety is at discussion here for some of this. They got a good story on WLFI about it, and where they're going with that and what they're going to be seeing. And, it's just one of those things. We're a bigger town now. We're starting to see different things happen. We're getting influences from Indianapolis. We're getting influences from Chicago. We're starting to see things that we don't want to see. Some crime at times. And it's just one of those things, as your city grows, you're going to encounter. None of us like it. It would be great if we didn't have to worry about it, but it is out there. Here's some of the story. The West Lafayette man who previously pleaded guilty to aggravated battery and of being a serious violent felon learned his sentence Wednesday. Dontre Alexander, he's 37 years old. He got a 22-year sentence in the Indiana Department of Corrections and 2 years of probation. So, I don't know what the whole story is behind everything there, but I want to wish this guy well, right? Because I know what you're thinking. Well, he did a shooting. You can't do that. Well, maybe he can be reformed. Maybe he can find God. Maybe he can find a way to get himself out of the things. Over that long period, he's going to be incarcerated, right? So that's where I'm wishing and wanting and praying for good things for every guy who's in prison, who's struggling, and who has made mistakes and have done a lot of bad things. And this is just one of the guys that's in there right now that had some problems, and he ran into some problems. So that was a story that was on WLFI, and I believe there's another story on JC Online if you want to check that out too. The transfer portal. Let's go back to sports real quick. The Purdue transfer portal, all right? It was really an uplifting season. They won their first 2 games, and then they kind of got wiped out the rest of the season. But there was a lot of good to see on the Purdue football team, and that may draw some people in the transfer portal. And the activity's kind of heating up. There's some key players coming in at times, new commitments. The offseason rebuild is under Coach Odom, and things are going to be different. There's stories at SI about this. As to what you're going to see for the Purdue Boilermakers. It says Purdue lands Texas running back via transfer portal. This was just 14 hours ago from Dustin Schutte, so go check it out. It's on the Purdue Boilermakers SI site, right? Purdue has made its first big splash in the transfer portal, landing a talented running back out of Texas. He will have 3 years eligibility, it looks like. So that is great news, right? We got a new running back coming into town, and we'll see what he can do. He's averaged a lot of carries and some big yards in different places, and he's coming out of Texas. Texas, big-time running back school. So this will be a great thing that will be added to the Boilermakers coming season if he comes in via the fresh. He was a freshman. He's going to have 3 years left, but he comes in. He's a freshman now. He'll be a sophomore next year when he comes in. I'm not sure. Sometimes they transfer and come in early. You know how guys come into town early. Maybe they transfers out of Texas, comes in before the summer. But by the summer, we'll start to get a good head on how he's going to be and where he's going to be doing and what he's going to be doing as a Purdue Boilermaker. Jarek Gibson. Now, he's number 9 in Texas. We don't know what he's going to wear here at Purdue, but that's kind of exciting, too, to see that transfer coming in. There's also another story on it on Hammer and Rails. Go over there and check that out. We always want to check out those local guys, and these guys are in there, and they are doing a lot of the heavy work getting information to pass to you that you may not see in other different places. So always check them out, right? Here we go. Some fire safety things that are going on. We're just a couple of minutes from the top of the hour right now. Let me check on the temp real quick. Still, it's 37 degrees out there. Still a bit sunny. Yeah, it looks like things are going pretty good, at least on a daily basis for weather this morning. I know there was a couple spots of fog here and there, so keep that in mind. And you'll see that off and on over the next few days with the humidity kind of coming up and some patches of cold air, especially in your low-lying areas over the next few mornings. So keep that in mind for you as you go through the next couple of days. But let's get back to something local here real quick before we hit the top of the hour. The Lafayette Fire Department is emphasizing safety after multiple blazes around the city, right? There's been 4 fires recently. They're worried about space heaters. We're all worried about those. They seem to blow up at times, or they just they start fires anyway. And we're using a lot of them here in the cold weather, so be wary. Make sure your space heater is ready to go and it looks good and it's running and in great shape. Maybe there's some prevention tips for residents that you can find from the Lafayette Fire Department. Star City TV did an article on it, and so did WLFI, so you might want to check those out on the internet. But sure, go ahead and make sure that your space heater is doing well and things are going good with that. We want to keep you warm on a daily basis here in Lafayette because of the winter, and we don't want any accidents to happen, okay? So that's one of those things that's kind of come across there. What else are we doing here? Where else are we going to be going? Let's talk about this. It's the top of the hour now, right? And every hour, I'm probably going to try to give you an update of what's going on, what's going to be happening. I'm going to want you to hit me up. Text me, email me, or call in. I'm going to figure out the calls and the emails and the text and all that. Right now, you can chat live on YouTube, which is pretty good. And I'm pretty sure I'm on YouTube Live. When I click on the button, I can see myself, and I'm talking. Hey, that's a good news. Let's hope the live stream is working and you can see it. And maybe you can join in to the program. All right, so that's great there. But what are we going to see? What is going to happen? It was a solid first hour, right? Yeah, I struggled. It took me about 7 minutes to really get the setup working. I thought it was working and it was going to start right at the top of the hour, but it took me a little bit of time. I just talked about some safety in the cold, right? About your space heaters and making sure that they're productive and they're proper and they're not something that's going to blow up on you and start a fire some way. We talked a little bit about Purdue football, building its new commitments for 2026 and the new running back that's coming in that just came out overnight, the news about that. And then, of course, we talked a little bit about some of the mixed clouds we're going to see today and some of the temperatures. it was, some of the things we're going to get into. Maybe sometime you'll talk about your commute times. Maybe you'll talk about tough as nails things that are going on in the community that you're worried about. But we're going to switch a little bit right now, maybe more to an American angle, and keep some of the local Lafayette stuff still here too. We'll pop back and forth, maybe it looks like, as we get into the second hour. We may talk some more of the Chicago sports. I want to get into the Bears. Maybe some of the FEMA things that they're prepping for World Cup security, the Trump's latest things that are going on. All this stuff is going to be pretty cool to talk about. I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen Z, so I say cool, right? Because my hair was cool in the 80s and the 90s, and it was big and poofy like everybody else's until I got in the Marine Corps, and then it got cut down like this and kind of stayed that way. But those of you who know me have seen me with a foot of hair, and you've seen me with no hair on my head. It's just whatever I feel like on any given day. Maybe you're like that too. Let's go back to weather real quick here and see what's going on. Weather-wise, locally, I'm going to go to the full screen here, and we'll see what we got. There's the full screen. Hey, guys, you can see me on OBS, but there's what we're talking about. 37 degrees right now. Mostly sunny skies expected throughout the day, but it's a mixture of clouds and sun. High is going to be somewhere around 48, this thing says. And I said, I like to see a little bump. I wouldn't be surprised, especially down in Crawfordsville, maybe over towards Attica, you hit 50 today. Wouldn't be surprising, all depending on how much cloud cover is out there and how much of the sun is there. We're getting a nice southwesterly breeze at about 9 miles an hour right now. Air quality is good, humidity's up, visibility is unrestricted, so everything looks good, at least on those fronts, weather-wise. When you look at the extended forecast, now these are generic. Remember, these are just coming off of a computer. That's why 48 for today. I say we might hit 50 in a couple spots. I always like to bump my temperatures this time of the year. Seems like the models are usually significantly low on what they read and what they show. And so I usually bump a couple degrees. So that 50 for tomorrow might be 52. The 56 on Thursday might be 58 maybe. Friday says 60. We might be in the low 60s. But you notice Thursday into Friday comes another system. Slight chance of some sprinkles tomorrow during the day and cloudiness and maybe a light shower very late tonight through tomorrow morning. And I think I have some of that information here too. Let's go back to the high resolution rapid reflection model. That's what I like to call it out there. Rapid refresh model. This is from 12 Zulu. Let's see if we got it here. HRR. Switching the name. Go back to the HRR. There we go. And the latest model time frame select. I'm going to go, this is 12Z. It's a little bit longer. And it's going to show some of the time frames. But I want to go back to the precipitation portion. And I'm going to go to the winter side and go to the precipitation type. You can see some of the snows up there near Lake Huron and a couple little light showers coming off the lake right in northern Michigan. Nothing precipitation-wise throughout the rest of the state, you notice. Of Indiana, the Midwest looks pretty wide open. There's not much there to it, too. I got relatives right now that are vacationing up there in Wisconsin Dells in the snow. No snow right now, guys. You're looking pretty good. I think they're watching. As we go through the day, though, watch this little low out here to the west develop. Here we are late in the afternoon into the evening, and you see that little low pop up just south of Des Moines right there, right around the state area of Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. And then it presses towards us tomorrow morning. Yes, up there in Wisconsin looks like some scattered showers, even some ice if you're heading towards the north, up towards northern Michigan and mid to northern Wisconsin. But that little chance of, it looks like showers pop up just to the, well, right now this is the time frame is 12Z. If I go back an hour, that's 11Z, which Zulu time is what time it is in England, so that we're all on the same time. And right now we're at a 5-hour difference. So this is 6 hours, 06 Zulu tomorrow morning, or 06 local time, Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning. Lafayette is right about where the finger is, which is in the bottom right of that picture there. You can see a few very light scattered showers along the low pressure system and a weak warm front or trough kicking out to the southeast of the system. And then at 7 o'clock, it's a little bit better. And 8 o'clock, it starts to fall apart. And behind the system, you still see a few scattered light showers popping up and a drizzly kind of morning, maybe a spot of sun, then some more clouds and some drizzle off and on during the day. as we go through the day tomorrow. And then tomorrow evening, see again, here's some more, just a little bit of drizzly light rain, an isolated shower here. Nothing real for accumulations tomorrow night. This is all the way till, let's see, this is midnight tomorrow night. You can see a little wave coming in from the north, and that might create a shower tomorrow night into Wednesday, but then Wednesday looks great. Big high-pressure system down over Missouri by Wednesday and into Wednesday afternoon, and we look good before another low will develop out to our west. It looks like Wednesday afternoon into the evening. Let's take a look at let's look at the NAM nest. It goes out a little bit farther. Here it is on Wednesday morning, and it shows a lot of little sprinkles, but that's mostly just clouds on this model right now. And it doesn't go out far enough to develop the low into Wednesday evening. Let's go on the NAM, see what it says. This one goes a little farther out, and it develops the low back down to the south over Oklahoma a little later now. It's about 9Z on Thursday, which is going to be like 4 in the morning on Thursday morning, right? And you can see the rain starting to come up from the southwest. Kind of presses into the Lafayette area. 15 Zulu, that's right about 11 o'clock in the morning there for you. First chances of showers in the local area. A pretty good band moves through there with the system, with the warm front. This is the warm front out in front, going through by 21Z. So you're talking about 5 in the afternoon. And the cold front is still back off towards our east, trying to press through, and it shows it kind of coming into our area right around 7 o'clock Thursday evening going into Friday, with the low pressing up through the Chicago area probably after that. If we go into a longer form mode from that, you can see the timing's a little different on the GFS model. The General Forecast System model, that's what I like to call it. And it's a little later in the timing, so a little later on Thursday into Friday. Trying to clear things out on Friday and looking pretty good there. And then that model goes out till Saturday, where there's a little chance of some snow there. A quick system moves through. These dashed blue lines here, these are your thickness lines, and we look for thickness in the atmosphere of how thick it is to be, how cold it could be at times. You notice the blues. The blues are usually below freezing. This solid blue line is the 5400 line, or we call it the 540 line, and that's usually below that is where temperatures are below freezing. Hence, you notice rain-snow mix in and around the line, and back behind the line, it's all snow. Out in front, it's all rain. This is Saturday, all right? So it looks like a pretty good system moving through Wisconsin on, that's Friday night into Saturday morning. And then Saturday, a lot of mixed light snow still hanging on around us. Look at that coming off the lake and around the backside of the low pressure system, which is over Lake Michigan on Saturday afternoon. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. A little bit more light snow up north, Lafayette being right about here. And a few light snow showers can come off the lake. Remember, once it gets cold and you've got low clouds in the area, you still can get some flurries or light snow out of just about any cloud cover this time of the year during the winter. But again, another big high-pressure system sets up to our southwest. This is late Sunday afternoon into the evening, and it looks good all the way through next week. Look at that. It's Monday, Tuesday. No rain, no snow over us. Still chilly, though. Feeling more like winter, with the jet stream having dropped a bit farther south with the system that went through. And it looks like most of next week right now is pretty dry until maybe Thursday. Looks like they want to bring some snow off the lake. And remember, folks, the farther out you go with this system, the better chance it's going to be inaccurate. So just think about that. Don't take a big stock into what I'm saying about next week. There still could be a lot of changes. But keep the idea of colder in there and less snow, less precipitation. High pressures building into the local area there over Missouri. That's next Saturday. And this thing goes all the way out till next Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Doesn't show a lot of precipitation, just shows some colder air. A decent little system way out on January 20th, so 2 weeks from now. So that's the GFS that goes out that long period during that time frame. That's a pretty long time to be going out there. Some pretty good information, though, showing us very warm this week, a chance for rain later in the week, some sprinkles overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, dense fog possible in spots the next few days, but temperatures upper 40s to 50s, maybe even 60 by later in the week, but that might be coupled with rain showers at the same time. So that's what you're going to be looking at, it looks like right now. Let's go back to me. There I am. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you again. We're coming off the top of the hour. We've been talking a little bit about the weather, what's going to be happening in Lafayette over the next week to 2 weeks. I just went out through 2 weeks to show you what you would be encountering. And I also wanted to get into maybe some of the averages of what you see this time of the year. All right, I'm going to pop up a chart. Is this from AccuWeather? No, this is from MSN. Let's go back to the main screen here again real quick, and I'll pop back over there. There you go. These are the averages for Lafayette through the year. And here we are right here. Right now, the average low and high is, the average high is 48. That's generally. Historical daily high is 34 degrees. That's our average high, 34. And our low is 19. And obviously, we've been warmer than that as of late, right? And you notice where it bottoms out. It bottoms out here around the 17th of January, and it hangs on to about February 5th. I think I've seen places that say it's around the 18th, and other places that say it's like the 31st is the coldest. I can't remember what it said when from the information I had when I was at WLFI years ago, but end of January is our coldest time frame. Then it starts to warm back up, right? And you notice the warm temperatures in the summer, July, August. And these are your averages, is the dots that you see coming through there on your daily highs. So you see the warmth that we're expecting. Kind of drops back off, and then it starts to look more like winter on here, and the colder temperatures return. After a very frigid couple days around the beginning of the year, you remember this day here, the high on December 14th is daily. It was 6, but it was -4 that day. So there were some very cold days, -6 in a couple areas. That's just kind of what the average looks like throughout the year, throughout Lafayette. And it goes through some other things, kind of shows you your max temperatures on days that you want to look to, and some information there. You can find the coldest months, the hottest months, wettest. You can find almost anything you want on the internet. This even shows a monthly forecast. And again, look how cold it shows later in the month, right? But these, as it goes farther out and gets away from the models, starts to use more averages than everything else. Notice it says AVG above everything, average temperatures this time of the year. By the time of middle of February, our average high is back up to like 43 degrees. So it's pretty warm by that time of the year, middle of February to late February, right? And then by the end of March, you're back up to close to 60 degrees with an average of around 57 for your highs. So a lot of good information on this site here that I like to go to with the MSN. Sets things up a little bit. Kind of gives you an idea. It's 37 degrees right now still. Usually the temperatures are updated at the top of the hour because that's where they take the information, which is at the airport. They take the weather information at the airport, and then they put it out on the top of the hour unless there's some happening weather. If there's some happening weather, then the computers take more information and give you more data. But like, say, a calm day like today, it's generally only going to you'll see the temperature change at the top of each hour. And that's how the weather system works just about everywhere in the country. You can have your own digital, though, at your own house. That's one great thing. I kind of have some of those, too, myself. And it's one of those things where you kind of get into and you love it, right? How many of you out there knew what you wanted to do when you were 12 years old? Well, for me, I did. I wanted to be a weatherman. Never knew I was going to do that. Ended up going into the Marine Corps first. As soon as I got into high school, I got into earth sciences and classes like that. Had a teacher guide me towards the military. Didn't think I was going to be able to afford college. This is back in the early 80s now, so I'm pretty old. Went in the Marine Corps in 1983, and I went in because I wanted to be a meteorologist, and they had weather. And so that's where I went. My dad was in the Marine Corps, and I loved that, so I wanted to be there too. Went to the Marine Corps, became a weather forecaster. I even taught it for a while down at Keesler, Mississippi in the mid-'90s before I retired out on disability because I got hurt, believe it or not, playing football. I don't have some cool story about getting stabbed with a bayonet, pulling it out and killing the guy, and that's how I got disabled. Got hurt when I should have zagged on the football field. And I had 14 years in the Marine Corps in that. And I came back to Purdue to go to school. If some of you don't know the story out there. After I retired out of the Marine Corps, brought the family back here, going to go to Purdue. Walked into the radio station saying, what can you do for weather for me? And they told me to go over to the TV station and talk to Gary Seith. I don't know if you remember Gary Seith. This is 1997, so this is a long time ago for those of you who don't know. Gary was here. And I didn't know anything about TV. I didn't know, I had been in the military. I had briefed generals. I had briefed all kinds of people, but I didn't know anything about TV. And the radio guy is telling me that's who I got to go talk to us. So Gary comes out to talk with me, and it kind of surprised me. And we had a great conversation, and he said, well, I don't have anything for you right now, but it looks like you could come in and intern with me, and you could teach me more about weather, and I'll teach you about TV. See, I had been teaching weather, right, weather forecasting in the military and observing, and I knew a lot. I had been a forecaster for a long time at that point, and he was a biologist by trade who had a great background in weather. He knew weather really good. So we started working together, and 3 days into my internship, if you remember, down in Indianapolis now, Angela Buckman was the primetime meteorologist in 1997 here in Lafayette. And she had a lot of stations that wanted her, and she put her to notice she was going to leave. And they said, let's get you on TV, get out there. So right place, right time. Literally 2 weeks after I had been out of the Marine Corps, I went from an intern to doing the noon shows for a week and becoming the primetime meteorologist a week later. I guess I talked okay. And I was there at WLFI for 6 years, 4 years pretty strong, and then I went to Antarctica and then came back and was kind of doing the weekends and things like that before I went back to the Antarctic group full time. Also worked over at Grissom for a while during that time frame for a couple years, and I worked there just a few years ago too at Grissom. If any of the Grissom folks are watching right now, great to see you guys. I really loved it over at Grissom, too. It's fun. It's back to the military days and all that kind of thing. And I also love the Antarctic program very much, too. So a lot of friends there, a lot of great times. Got to see the world, have forecasted weather every place you can think of. Have been on 6 of the 7 continents, have forecasted for all the oceans, all of the continents, and including the South Pole, which was one of our main ones. So I've seen a little bit of everything, and I guess I'd be considered a winter weather expert because that's kind of been at least half of my focus. It's been during big cold weather in Antarctica and down there. And a good period here in, of course, Indiana, where I grew up, and here in Lafayette, where I've lived for off and on since 1997, where we went to Charleston for a while when we were working with the Antarctic group. So I did that too. So those are just some of the things that got me into weather, and knowing that at 12 I wanted to do that. Lo and behold, here we are all these years later, and I've been doing weather for more than 40 years. And boy, what an experience to do something that you really wanted to do in your life. I hope and pray that all of you will be able to do that sometime too, because I know a lot of you are working some jobs that you don't want to work. You're working long hours, but you're doing what you got to do for your family, and I appreciate every single one of you. And don't let yourself not be told your family appreciates it too. They do. They do appreciate it. So you just keep at it no matter where you're at, where you're working, and where you're working hard, because you're going to get through all these times, and eventually you're going to find some blessings that God has for you that you just love and that you are going to be so excited about, and you're going to be at that mountaintop. Even if you're in that valley right now and things seem like they're dark and deep, there still is plenty of light out there. You see, the pastor's going to come out because I am an assistant pastor at a church here in town at Innovation. Stop by and see us if you get a chance. That'd be great. But the pastor will come out of me every once in a while, so you are going to see that. And some of you are laughing about that, and some of you are like, hey, shut up, get off there. Well, we're just going to talk about a little bit about everything, and that may come up religion from time to time, so don't be surprised. Let's get into some other things. Here it is, 20 after 10 already. I guess I can talk for 3 hours, even though it's only been an hour and 20 minutes so far. Running the show by yourself is a little intriguing. You kind of know where things are at. You kind of have an idea of what you want to go to. But it sure would be nice if someone else was pushing the buttons, kind of guiding you through there. Maybe we'll work on that and get somebody to do that one of these days. Here's another headline locally. Purdue Wrestling splits a doubleheader this last weekend and through the last week. I guess they lost a close one to Drexel, but they were really, really close. And then they came through and they won a match over Ryder. And they're preparing for their Big Ten opener coming up pretty soon, too. You can find information about that at Purdue Sports, Purdue Boilermakers, websites. You can find information on those, too. So there's a lot of other sports going on besides big-time football. It's getting better and better at Purdue. And your big-time national champion potential team for your men's basketball team, and a strong building women's team right now too. So all of that is exciting. I got lots of friends who are here, of course, and we all love Purdue, a lot of us. And we put up with the IU fans as the IU fans put up with us being here in the local area too. So kind of cool. Let's see what else we've got going on. There's the city is warning about some wastewater runoff risks, something you need to think about during some of the heavy rains and snow melts when we get these low times where there's not a lot of precipitation, things will settle in areas, and so it's something you'll have to keep an eye on. And so during the heavy rains and snow melt, you may get those environmental problems that may wash into those areas, and keep an eye on that, especially around the Wabash area itself. So that's something that's in the local area. There's some community events going on. Greenfest 2025 planning is going on. It's a June event. Looks like there's going to be some workshops and an early buzz is on it, and they're going to look into the sustainability focus on that. Articles on that at WLFI and at JC Online that I can see so far as I'm looking at my screens. And here's a big one. And if you don't think this is a big one, you better prepare yourself for this. The Purdue AI competency requirement for undergrads. AI itself is what I'm talking about. We know Purdue's going to get into AI. They're a computer-based system and university. They're top-notch. They have all these things. They're right on the edge of everything, the top-notch, so they're going to be there. They're going to know that. They're going to have some new mandates starting in the falls for their undergrads. But AI itself, folks, this is just a warning for me. This is an old man talking to you sometimes, right? AI is going to take over virtually everything. It's going to take over your music. It's going to take over your video. It's going to take over your TV, your streaming. All this stuff is going to be run by computers. You already see it in many of the things you do right now. If you have Alexa, if you have, I talk to Siri all the time. And if I just said the word, my phone probably went wacko. No, it didn't. So that's good news. But they are listening to you. They know what's going on. They can help you so much. There's going to be so much great ways that AI is going to help. But it's also going to tear apart a lot of our jobs. It's going to tear apart a lot of what we do. And our life is going to look totally different 5 years from now to even 10 years from now. And a lot of us, if you're not ready, you better be ready to get in with the AI and work and use it for your abilities and for what you need to. Of course, there's going to be people who are going to try to take it and use it for bad things. That's the things we are all worried about with the AI itself. People losing jobs. If you use your hands on a job, you're going to keep it longer. If you're working on computers, chances are you're going to lose it quicker. And that comes down to things that you're already seeing, like who's on TV, where they're coming from, how they're doing it. Like my forecasting weather, it's going to get simpler and simpler, and eventually the weatherman may not even talk to you. It'll be an AI that talks to you. You can get stuff right now without talking to anybody. So those are some of the things AI is going to be doing in the next 5 to 10 years. And I want you guys to be focused on it and think about it so you're prepared for it. And I'm not talking in the future. I'm talking be prepared now and start looking into it. Do your due diligence, check into everything, and find out what you can to see how it's going to affect you in your daily life. Here's one. Young entrepreneurs gain momentum in Lafayette. Stories of local businesses' successes and all kinds of economic boost that's coming to Lafayette by starting, little businesses. Maybe big stores are starting up here and there in different places, but local businesses, those success stories are starting to pop up. And there's some stories on WLFI and on JC Online that you'll find about those, which I think you might like those. And those are kind of focused on the young entrepreneurs in the local area. County Health Services of Tippecanoe, there's some updates from them. They're getting a navigator for Medicaid and some mobile clinics that they're going to be running too. So the information on those and the community health access that they'll be having are all going to be updated. You can go to tippecanoe.in.gov for those to find that information. And I think, again, WFI or JC Online, you'll probably find some of those, maybe Star City too. Not listed on here, but it could be. Again, strong play for Purdue women. It kind of ran on this. They've had some recent wins, but they lost yesterday. So check them out. Easy way to get tickets for the women's game, and they are exciting to watch. I've worked there and worked some of the games at times with the security area around there, around Purdue football games and basketball games. And if you just want to check a game out and go watch the ladies play. They are awesome. They are good, and they are getting better and better. What is going on? Education issues for Indiana for 2026. There's some kind of session going on here. They're not going to have cell phones. They're going to try to ban those. They're going to focus on STEM a bit more. They're going to figure out some of the impacts on Purdue and local schools in our education system and what is going to be encountered with that. So there's a lot going on there with the education system, and you can find a story at WFI on that. Here we are. It's 10:26. Let's check the temperature out real quick here. Going to go back to that. Bam. Moving a little quicker. Woohoo! Look at that. Hit the wrong button. All right. Still 37. No updates there. Outside. No big changes. Maybe you've been out and about. You can chat with me real quick and let me know what you think, what you've seen, and get on the chat if I can figure out how it's working and what it's going to be doing. And it's pretty interesting how this whole system works. And I encourage a lot of you to get out there and try to do your own little podcast and start working on some of that. I'm going to be on Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 12. I don't think there's anything else really going on during that time frame in Lafayette, talk show-wise. And when I talk show, it's not just weather, sports, it's local stuff. You notice I've been covering a lot of local stuff, have barely hit the national stuff so far. But we are going to hit national. We're going to hit world stuff because all of that affects you and what happens in your local area. And I want to see what you're going to encounter with that, okay? What you're going to see. So chat me up on that. Hit the live chat on there, and I can talk to you. Hopefully I'll be able to figure that out from time to time of what I'm going to see. I'm switching buttons back and forth, so I might miss a few things. Got me a pretty cool background here I kind of put together. I love the Hawaiian shirts. The ladies tricked us one day at church and got about a dozen of us guys these duck shirts and told us to wear them into church. None of us knew about it. It was awesome. There's a great picture on the Innovation website that shows that. Got another great shirt back here from my closest friend in the local area, probably Roger, and he got that Hawaiian shirt for me. And then, of course, my classic Santa shirt in the background over here, the red one, Santa surfing on there, because it's a Hawaiian shirt. You're going to have that this time of the year sometimes, and the pastor has to be kind of cool once in a while wearing his Hawaiian shirts, or just me. I just like that kind of thing. I got to tell you a small story about the Hawaiian shirts. Down in Antarctica, when I would brief pilots every day, generally there were like 7 flights, big aircraft all over the continent, and I would brief them in the morning going to the South Pole or different camps. And I would wear a different Hawaiian shirt every single day down in Antarctica, and they got a kick out of that. And for those of you who are in the military, you think this way. I had 14 shirts for 14 days in a row, and when I ran out of shirts, that meant you got it. That meant I had to go do the laundry. So that's how that worked out, and that's how we went through that kind of system when I did that down there. That's back in Antarctica. Let's take a look at some of the national things that's going on. Obviously, the biggest story right now across the world, if not the country for sure, is the U.S. capturing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Now, Maduro and the government of Venezuela was basically, we kind of labeled them as terrorists for their drug narco stuff that was going on in these boats coming in and all the drugs that have been getting forced into our country by these countries, Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico. If you've been in Central America, you know how bad the Guatemalans are, Honduras. So you know these areas and how a lot of this stuff has been getting forced into our country and is hurting our people. I'm sorry to say it, we're losing like 100,000 people to drugs every year. Many of you in your own families have had some things happen to you, losing loved ones by fentanyl or whatever the drug is that's taken over. So what did we do? Well, we kind of went in dramatically and had this big military operation where we pumped in, and of course the U.S. is better than anybody at this. We went in straight into Maduro, into his compound where he was set up there in Venezuela. Picked him up. There was a firefight. There were some bombings. We did not lose anybody. There's lots of videos on the internet about it. And now Maduro is in New York with his wife, both facing drug charges. Drug charges, not anything else. There's going to be a new government that goes in there. Trump announced the U.S. will run Venezuela temporarily. I'm not sure if he really meant we're going to run it or we're just going to kind of keep track of it. But they're going to set up somebody else in there, hopefully who is more in line with what the United States is instead of China or Russia, who had been trying to take over Venezuela and helping Maduro. But Venezuela's in our backyard, folks, 1,000 miles to Miami from there. It's not very far. If you had missiles or you had things set up there, you could send them. Easy place to push drugs into our country from Venezuela. So something to keep in mind there. There are all kinds of stories. I saw this morning that Maduro was going into court for that. We'll have to find out some information on that. going on over the next couple days. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to him. Trump says U.S. is in charge of Venezuela, and a lot of news services are saying that. I don't know where you go to. Maybe you go to CNN, Reuters, New York Times, CBS, Fox News. Look at all of them and then try to give yourself a good idea of what's going on. Don't just stick with one. Don't just stick with Fox. Don't just stick with CNN, all right? Try to get a good idea of what everything is there. I hate to say this, but they all have their own agendas no matter which side of the aisle you are on. So you're going to get a kind of an overlook of everything to try to see it. If they're both saying it, generally speaking, you probably know it's probably true. If Fox is saying it, CNN is saying it, you know it's probably true, at least at that point. But what are we going to focus on? They keep saying we're going in there for the oil. Well, we're going to go in there and maybe help with the transition of the leadership, that's for sure. We're going to have some international law debates on figuring out who's in charge and who isn't. Hopefully they're going to have free and fair elections, something that a lot of you people think we don't have here in the United States, but we're going to try to do there for them. And then hopefully someone stable will take over the country for the people of Venezuela. The people of Venezuela need somebody who's stable, who can control the country and run it in a good manner for them so that they're going to be okay and they can have some great lives with them too. So a lot of those details are going to be coming out over the next week to 2 weeks. And a lot of excitement happened. When it happened, I think it was Friday night. I'm sure Maduro was thinking Sunday night, right? A lot of times we seem to strike on Sundays for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. It's trying to do it when they're not expecting it. Well, Friday night in Venezuela was probably not one of those nights where they were expecting to have someone come in and take Maduro, and we went in there and we did it. And congrats to my SEALs buddies out there, a lot of the guys who are in the recon and the Marine Corps, Black Ops in different areas, the Air Force, all of our military that was able to get in there and get out without losing anybody, and getting Maduro and his wife so they can come back for trial and we can hold them. Those of you arguing that they can't do that, they are, again, terrorists. They're coming in for narco charges, for drug charges. They are not coming in because he's the president. That just happened to be his moniker. Everybody knows he kind of stole that election. If you're not cognizant of that, of what was going on, it looked like his competitor had won. And he basically said, I don't care, I'm taking over. And he ran roughshod over everything. For years now he's been doing that. So I want the Venezuelan people to be not worried about where they're going to get their next meal, not worried about who they're going to work for, not worried about who might come and get them because they say something wrong. I want them to be very similar to what we have in the United States, where most of us can say and do as we please, as long as we're not pushing the buttons or doing something illegal, obviously. And I want us all to have that all around the globe. Not just here in the United States. That would be great for everybody. So what's that going to do to the global market? Well, the geopolitical risks are there. It seems like oil prices jumped a little bit over the weekend, about 20 cents. So there's some fluctuation there. And that happens every time something big happens. Oil goes up. Everybody worries, right? But the safe havens are kind of us in one way, and I think it'll settle back down in the next week as we figure out what's going on with everything through that system and what's happening in that global market, because there's going to be ups and downs on that. I also noticed that things like your digital assets in the what we're talking about at Wall Street, right? Things like Coke dropped off the market, and things like your AI, your digital, your crypto all went back up this weekend after all this stuff happened. So when things go bad, those go up and everything else goes down. And when things are going good, everything else is going up, and those crypto and those things kind of, your gold, your silver kind of go back down. And if you haven't noticed, silver's gone from like $14 to 75 in the last year or so to 2 years. Gold went from somewhere around 1,800 to over 4,000. I don't even have it in front of me what the prices are right now, but crazy things have happened over the last few years. Hopefully you were involved in it and were able to make some money off of it. Let's hit some other things. What's going on? Well, the Bulls, of course, they're facing lots of injuries and challenges, along with the Pacers. Neither team is playing to their best abilities right now. They got some key players out. They're both going through some tough stretches. And it just looks like both teams are a little bit of floundering. Maybe we'll get each team into the playoffs. We'll have to see. I'm also focused a little bit on Memphis because Zach Edey, that's where he's playing, and I've kind of changed a little focus down towards there. I don't know if you've done that yourself or not. Zach's out injured right now, but hopefully he'll come back, and he looks like a monster when he gets on the court. He's starting to play so good. That Memphis team is going to be good when they get everybody back healthy again, I think. So there you go. Now, let's get to the big news, though. The Chicago Bears going to the playoffs, the number 2 seed in the NFC. And they're going to play the Green Bay Packers. What is that? Vaunted Green Bay Packers. That's who they're going to play. And the Bears, it looks like I thought I first saw that they were going to be on Saturday night at 8 o'clock. So a primetime game, and it looks like it might be on Amazon too. I'll have to check on that. Both these teams are playoff history. They have a big, heavy season between them, and you've seen them. Who is the Bears going to have to go through? Well, they're going to have to go through Green Bay first, and then they're going to have to go through somebody probably like the Seahawks, or then they're going to eventually go through the 49ers or somebody like that to get themselves to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, Indy fell apart at the end of the season and didn't make it in there. That was the unfortunate. Boy, they looked like they were going great and they were going to be in the playoffs, but everything just fell apart towards the end of the season for them. So there's that excitement about the Bulls. You can find information about them. There's all kinds of different places. Bleacher Nation is one of them. You can find out information from the Chicago Times. It is locked in, it looks like, for Saturday night. Let me see what I got here for you guys. First playoff game since 2020 for the Bears. Here's what you need to know. 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Central Time, Saturday. Prime Video. So if you have Prime Video, you're going to be able to see it there. Unfortunately for me, I am fasting from Netflix and Prime. So I guess I'm not watching the Bears game Saturday night. Some of you will have to tell me what's going on. We'll have highlights of that probably Monday morning, right? So it's just one of those things. They're going to be right back to a team they know very well. They split with the Packers this year. Both teams won at home in exciting games in exciting fashion. And it looks like it's going to be one of those games. From there, they don't have the system set up. They don't have the whole thing here showing me who they'll be playing afterwards. But I think it's going to be San Francisco or Philly, as it will be who they'll play secondly, if that. Or it could be Seattle, and who's the other team that's in? I'm not sure who it is right now, but we'll figure that out too. So a big game coming up in the playoffs for the Chicago Bears this weekend. The Bears. And we did a great skit and had some fun with the Bears on the at church, at Innovation Church. I had to think about it where we had it. And we had some fun with that earlier in the year. You probably can find that on YouTube somewhere too. It was really fun. We talked in the first hour a little bit about Purdue's basketball, and basketball's Braden Smith breaking the not the NCAA assist record, but the big time or the Big Ten big-time assist record that was held. And so he broke that at Wisconsin on Saturday. They got another game Wednesday night. Everything's in the national spotlight now as he slowly heads towards possibly breaking the all-time NCAA record that was set up by Bobby Hurley way back in the day, 20 years ago or so. And so he is on pace to pass that probably during the Big Ten tournament at the end of the season. I fondly put that he might average 12 assists this year because I think he was going to go crazy with it. He is assisting right now at an average of just under 10. So if he could get that to like 12 in the next month or two, average-wise, that means he'd have to pump out 14, 15 a game. He could break the record against Indiana, but chances are really good at the pace he's at right now. It's going to be during the Big Ten tournament. So that'll be great news, too. What a guy. What a guy. Everybody, I hate to say this, sometimes you can't tell a guy he can't do something because then he's going to prove you wrong and he's going to go out there and do it. Braden Smith is that guy. I felt like that was the way I was, too, growing up. And I know a lot of you were probably like that, too. I'm going to show you what I can do, and Braden's gone out there and done that, along with Fletch, who's along there with him, and TKR. TKR had a great year last year, and I want to emphasize something. It seems like TKR is scoring a little less this year because he wants to get everybody else involved. But he's upped his rebounds this year. Great thing for the Purdue basketball team. It will help Braden out, too, in the long run. And it looks like their in and out game, outside shooting, inside the basket, the assists, in down low is all working very well for the team right now, as they are the number one offense in the country. And they are top 15 right now, I think 14th on KenPom as for rating for their defense. And many people laughed at the beginning of the season saying because they were like 40th. And I put out a video saying that, hey, look, I think they're going to be top 10 to 20 by the end of the season, which is going to be plenty good enough to win the national championship with the offense they got. And it's coming right on par with that right now, which is a great thing. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the Big Ten season. They're 3-0 for the first time in like 7-8 years since they did that. And they've only done it 3 times. This is the 3rd time under Coach Painter, who we all love, who it just keep working on them, Coach. Keep them moving forward. Keep their focus. The guys are good at this. The guys coming up behind them seem to have the same mindsets. This is the job. This is what we got to do. We keep moving forward. We keep moving forward. We keep moving forward. And we eventually end up in a victory. And that's how each of their games seems to pan out. Except for the big loss against Iowa State where everything just kind of fell apart, which happens to literally every single basketball team every year at least once, probably 2 or 3 times, and it may happen again once or twice more before the season's over. I predicted only 3 losses this year. 1 would be preseason. That happened at Iowa State. 1 would be during the season, and 1 would be maybe during the Big Ten playoffs. Maybe there's 2 during the season. Now, that being said, there's some really good teams in the Big Ten this year. Michigan looks great. Juggernaut, they look great. They got some of the highest KenPom numbers ever seen, and they have beaten some great teams on a tough schedule. Purdue's schedule is right behind them. They've beaten some great teams too. Things are looking good for Purdue on that front, but they got to go through Michigan. They got to play Michigan State. They got to play Iowa, who's up and coming. Nebraska. What happened to Nebraska? Where'd they come from? Playing some great basketball for them, so they're playing good too. And, of course, you still got your rivalries. And Illinois, who's a great team, is in the top 10 in KenPom also, despite 3 losses. And Indiana, you never know what's going to happen with your home state rival. So there's still 6 to 10 games that are just going to be rough, that you don't know who's going to win. And, of course, they have, 17 left. So that means there's 10 games you're supposed to win. And it seems like every year there's 1 loss out of nowhere, right? You're like, how did they lose there? How did they lose to that team? So let's say that happens and they lose to one of those other big ones, but they win out the Big Ten tournament. That would be the 3 losses when they sweep their way to the national championship. Hey, got to stay optimistic. That's the way I look at it, and that's the way I'm going to look at it. All right, so let's take a look. It's 10:43 right now. If you're out and about, maybe you're out running an errand right now. Maybe you're going to get some groceries. You're just listening on YouTube at home, and you're excited about what's happening. Maybe you're going to be able to get a chance to talk to some people on a live stream. Go ahead and chat me up. Go ahead and just send me a message. Just say hi, if anything, and that'll work out pretty good too. All right, let's get back into some of the national and world things that have been happening. So what happens when we go and take a leader of a country and show our power, right, to other people? Well, other guys got to kind of show theirs, right? So what happens? Little Rocket Man pops up and he starts doing some ballistic launches in North Korea over the weekend too. Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. But that added to some regional tensions between Japan and China and North Korea and South Korea. And that, it could be a place where things blow up pretty big. You notice how easily we went to Venezuela and took Maduro and tried to put our foot down to say this is not in our neck of the woods. Well, why won't China do the same thing for Taiwan, right? Taiwan is in their neck of the woods. And sometimes I think to myself, why are we even messing with this? Because it's going to lose lots of people if it really goes the bad way. And I'm also on Substack, although I haven't written anything on it in a long time, and I predicted China would take over Taiwan with the best times being in April or November. That's when the seas are the best. But do they really even need to come in across the seas with people, or do they just bomb the place to smithereens? It's hard to say, because regardless of what we keep telling everybody, our reaction to this is not going to be as strong as people would like or think because of the distance. We have bases over there, don't get me wrong, but then those bases become targets. How much can we fill in with Taiwan? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I want to say we'll jump in and we'll save them, and it'll be great. But the reality is we're going to lose a lot of people too, and it could be a bloodbath. And China knows that, and they're thinking about that. And so sometime in the next couple years, I think they set a date of 2027 or 2028 they were going to do it by. But remember, best months to come across from China to Taiwan over the ocean is April and November are the best seas. That's the weatherman talking to you right there, all right? That's the best time. It would be easiest for the ships to come across if they're going to come and get on shore. And remember, Taiwan was part of China. And China still says they're part of them. This was years ago, 50 years ago, 70 years ago now already, since they kind of broke up after World War II. The Shek, Kang Chai-shek, or I've lost his name in my mind, but they kind of broke apart, and one went to Taiwan and one stayed in China, and that's how it kind of ended up where it is. So something to think about there. The Taiwan deal is going to be very big, all right? Very big deal with Taiwan. Let's get back to a couple other stories here. Here's one. Remember, I just talked about AI a little bit ago. AI and tech developments. There's going to be some kind of bubble concern in the market. I was talking about the market too, right? And when you start to get into these kind of things and you're using this equipment and you're getting into these tech things, it looks like there's going to be some... Folks, we're having problems with our mentality being locked into our computers all the time. Here I am talking to you on YouTube. I'm doing the exact same thing. You're listening to me. And we're having health issues brain-wise because of this mentally, a lot of us. And these are national trends, not just me talking about somebody you know or I know. National trends going around. There's a story in The Guardian about it that talks about these AI and tech developments that are starting to hurt people. You might want to go there and check that out. It talks about what can happen to people, why these things are happening to people, what's going to happen to the country because of AI, and what that's going to do to you mentally and your struggles there. So there's a lot going on with that front too, and the AI taking over a lot of our jobs and doing a lot of our things in the next 5 years is going to be one of those things that's going to push a lot of us mentally to the edge instead of trying to maybe embrace it and figure out how we can use it to the best of our abilities without using it illegally, because there are going to be people that are going to do that too, of course. So the holiday weather wrap up, I wanted to get through that real quick. And a January thaw here, we're getting this 1048. And remember how cold it was back around Christmas and the week after Christmas. I think it was the week before Christmas. It was -6 one day on that Sunday, and the wind chill was like -25, -30. We even canceled our first service at church. It was so cold that morning. And then we had a lot of snow early in the season. People were thinking, what a winter. Well, now we're going to get into a warm period over the next week. We're going to be near 60 by the end of this week. We're going to be in the 40s today, and tomorrow maybe in the 50s, and in the high 50s by Thursday, and even the 60s by Friday. But then that's going to bring in rain, of course. The warm air comes up from the south. It brings up moisture. It brings up precipitation. Very common thing during the winter, these ups and downs, right? And then the long-range models shift us back into cold a week or so from now. And it looks like not a lot of snow, but cold weather coming back in. More like winter, more typical for Lafayette. We don't tend to get a ton of snow in Lafayette. I know you might think that when you see a few storms here or there. But I grew up south of Lake Michigan up in LaPorte, and we saw 80-something inches of snow every year, not 20 like you see down here. And we saw 6-foot drifts all the time every winter, it seemed like. So in Lafayette, we get that occasionally, don't get me wrong. Hey, remember the winter of 77, 78, right? That happened in all of Indiana. So be prepared for cold weather to return again in another week. Enjoy some of the warmth in the next few days. But remember, there'll be some rain wrapped in that too, probably Thursday into Friday for sure. Maybe some sprinkles tomorrow and a light shower possible with lots of clouds more tomorrow than anything else as a passing system goes by pretty quickly. What else we got going? Remember Purdue? They got a big win. They got a running back coming from Texas, a freshman who will be a sophomore next year, still has 3 years of eligibility. Looks like he's going to come in. That'll be an addition to the team. So they're making a lot of moves trying to make this team better and better. After winning the first couple games and then getting wiped out the rest of the season, there were still tons of great things to look at that team, how they're moving forward, how they're trying to make changes. And my observation is they're going to be in the middle of the pack next year in the Big Ten. And that's exciting. They're going to beat a team or two no one expected, and then they're going to beat a lot of the bad teams in the Big Ten that they play next year. I haven't looked at the schedule yet, but that's probably what's going to happen. So don't expect 2 wins next year. Expect 4, maybe even 6. All right, that would be great if they could do that. because I know a lot of your football fans are still packing the stadium, even with them not playing great, and it's exciting to see. Just goes to prove that we're not just a basketball town, right? Even though we have one of the best NCAA men's basketball teams in the country for the last 5 years. Great to see. Let's see what else we've got here. We know about the Bears. We heard about the Bulls' problems, the Pacers' problems with how they're not playing as good as they were last year, that kind of thing. And there's an exciting look to 2026 in the Chicago Tribune, if you want to look that up, about the Bears and the Bulls and what they're going through and what they're going to be running into. And it's the Cubs. Hey, we're already just 6 weeks away from catchers and pitchers showing up down in Arizona. Usually I think it's February 15th. A lot of them show up a few days before that even. So that's exciting. I'm a big baseball fan. Got to a couple Cubs games this year. Hadn't been in 20 years. And so that was pretty exciting to see this year. And I'm excited about the Cubs again coming up in the coming year and their chances in the playoffs again. Building a strong team there and something to be excited about since they won that World Series back in 2016. They've been kind of quiet. They've made the playoffs, but they just haven't got themselves back there yet. So there's some excitement on the Bears side. There's some excitement on the Cubs side, getting the new stuff going on. The Bears making the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Colts no, and the Bulls and the Pacers are just kind of iffy on those right now. The Colts kind of fell apart as the season went on. They started off great. Maybe next year. Yeah, we've heard that many times if you're a Bears fan, so we'll see what happens on that front. I kind of went through a few articles here or there and saw some things that I wanted to talk about. And, you never know what you're going to run into on any given day and where you're going to run into it. So some of these stories are interesting and some of them just, there's just not there. We're getting close to the top of the hour again. It's 10:52 right now, and the temperature was 37. Let's see if it's changed any. Oh, we're up to 39. There is an update there. So that's good. 39 degrees. Let me pop that on your screen for you. And we'll run through that real quick again. There we go. 39 right now. Still says sunny out there. Again, a mixture of some clouds. Winds still out of the southwest, 9 miles an hour. So in the weather community, we work with what we call frummies. You know what frummies is? The wind is coming from the southwest, and it's at 9 miles an hour. And then, of course, in the military, they use knots. So 9 miles an hour in the military is like 7 knots, okay? So knots is a little bit less than miles an hour. Visibility looks great. It's unrestricted out there. So a really good day setting up right now. If you look at the long range on this model, this is MSN's information. Shows the 6th with a high of 50, then 52 on Wednesday, 56 on Thursday, 60 on Friday. So warming up, but the chances of rain increase Thursday and Friday. And I think there's a chance late tonight and tomorrow, more of the sprinkle variety or a very light shower possible by tomorrow morning. But just in a very quick passing system. So we might not see anything out of that either. And then if you go down a little ways, it'll show you exactly what it thinks is going to happen during the month. This is how AI is going to take over our lives pretty soon. I won't have a job either. But that's pretty funny. But temperature-wise, this is kind of what Lafayette has looked like. Here we are today. And if you go to today, the historical daily high is about 34. That's your average. And your daily low is 19. We're expecting 47 and a low of 38, which we're there. We're basically increasing all day today. And then it's not going to get cold overnight tonight. It's just going to drop back down to around 38. And if you look at this, the red and blue up and down scales are showing you the exact temperatures that happened over the last year. The dots, the black dots, are your temperature averages. You notice the lowest average is at the end of January. And this is also showing you some of the forecast temperatures over the next month also. So we have this big jump up in temperature here in the next few days, and then it drops off towards the end of the month, and a lot of your temperatures are back near normal, looks more like winter. So that's what we're expecting to see over the next week or so, weather-wise. Still pretty good. I think we all love this for December, right? Good temperatures, warm weather, and things have been pretty quiet. We're still not technically fully drought system, but it has been very low on precipitation so far this winter, other than the one big storm earlier in the year. So let's see. I got all kinds of things. Some of you are texting me. That's great. I'm supposed to pull the chicken breast out of the freezer, I think. So I'll have to do that when the show's over. Great to see that from my wife, who's working right now so hard. Go check her out. She's over at Murphy USA. A lot of you know her. She's the manager over there. And go say hi to Susie, and she'll say hi back, and she'll definitely talk with you for a little while. So that's awesome there. And I got to remember to pull the chicken out later, which I'll probably forget because I'm just absent-minded like that. Did anybody see some of the other things that are going on? This next hour, we're going to get into several different things. Some of them local. Again, I'll go back to a couple local things, but we're also going to hit some things like the fire in Switzerland, if you saw some of that and all the people there and different information that came out on that. The stock markets, maybe a little bit of a review of what happened in the last year or so. Protests and demonstrations in some places around the world, but they seem kind of small at this point because most people know they needed to get rid of Maduro, and that's what most people are complaining about. Maybe some oil and energy implications, Rubio's statements on what's happening, disruptions in our airspace and travel. If you've been out and around, you've seen it. People getting all kinds of trips canceled. If you're going out of the Caribbean, things could be changed because of all the different happenings down there. And the broader geopolitical shifts can do all kinds of different things for people. So lots of different things we're going to cover in the next hour or so. Let me get back to one of these other things here real quick. It was a solid first hour, I think. I struggled a little bit, you guys. I told you at the beginning, there's going to be all kinds of hiccups, mistakes. Hopefully you can see me, you can hear me. Hopefully you can chat with me if you would like to, and we'll be able to chat back and forth and talk about what you want to talk about. I always looked at this as not being a talk show about me. This is a talk show about you. That's why it says, Let's Talk Lafayette. I want to hear what you have to say. If it's local, there's a lot of local issues. My wife started throwing me all kinds of issues yesterday I hadn't even heard about. Locally, things that she hears about at her job from you walking in and out the doors. Well, chat with me, hear about it. As the show grows, more and more people are going to hear about it, and more people are going to be able to take action too if they need to. So the first hour, I thought everything was set up and ready to go, and it took about 7 full minutes for me to get the system working and me to actually come online. Other than that, it kind of went pretty good, I think. I had fun. You're going to have fun watching this show, having fun laughing. Hopefully you guys are going to text in and chat. Eventually I'll figure out how to get the phone lines on here, maybe more emails too, that kind of thing. But chatting on YouTube is easy to do right now. Anybody can do it. So go ahead and give it a shot when you get a chance. And you'll be able to see that in different places. I wrote on there, don't be afraid to chat with me, right? So go ahead and give it a shot. Let's see. Excuse me. It is 2 hours. I did question at the beginning and the top of the first hour whether I could talk for 3 hours. Many of you said, of course you can, Brian. You're a big talker. And I told you, one of the things I've been trying to do, which is very hard for someone who has dominated conversations and kind of pushed their way in many times over the years, and that's what I've done as a person kind of personally. I'm now a pastor. I can't do that to people, right? So as a pastor, I'm trying to listen more, to figure out what people are saying and paying attention more than trying to push my stuff in. It's a struggle still, though, to do something for 60 years and then trying to change something in your life to make it better for the people that are around you is a tough thing to do. Lots of you know that. You've been through struggles, maybe something. This is a simple struggle, but it's going to be tough for me to get out of the mindset of forcing myself into people's conversations when they are the ones that are struggling and I need to listen to them, right? I have plenty of my own blessings. I try to look at everything in a positive manner. I suffer from chronic pain from my spinal cord injury in the Marine Corps, so that's one of those things that's going to dictate how I feel, and I have let it overcome me many, many times. Even though I try to stay positive about everything, it's just one of those things that's hard to do. You may have something just like that. Maybe it's chronic pain. Maybe it's you're struggling with drugs, alcohol, porn. You can't get yourself off the internet. Sure, I love hearing you right now, but if you can't get yourself off the internet, you've realized it's a problem. It's something you got to work on. It's something you're going to have to get yourself to draw yourself in to yourself. And of course, one of those ways as a pastor, I'm going to guide you towards God. Jesus can help you get through all of these things. He's helped me. He's focused me. He's told me that I have a friend, a partner, someone I can talk to who gets me through life, and that life is better with Jesus on my side. So you're going to hear that once in a while here too, as the pastor's going to pop out and maybe run through some scripture. My memory is not good enough to memorize scripture to quote you when you need things. I know people who are, and I love it. I wish I had one sitting right next to me right now, and we could run through all kinds of things. And maybe some days we will, and some days it'll be all sports, and some days it'll be all weather, and some days it'll be all local stuff from our local community here in Lafayette, West Lafayette, all of Tippecanoe County, maybe even surrounding, because I know some of you might be watching from different places, and it'll be great to see. So it has been awesome so far. So I think hour one, despite the hiccup at the beginning, went pretty well. Hour two, we nailed a lot of national stuff going on, right? We talked a little bit about AI. It's driving growth, like 4% now in the country, which has been good. The Bulls and the Pacers have been dealing with some injuries. The Blackhawks are rebuilding. I didn't even say anything about that in the hockey there. We were spot on a lot of different things we've been talking about. There's been some projects in Lafayette. Now we're going to go into the final hour, and it's kind of open to anything. I think I'm going to cover a lot of global stuff here. We're going to talk a lot about what's happening in different places, maybe Russia or Ukraine, South Korea and North Korea, what's going on with Little Rocket Man there. And we're going to mix in anything that you guys can send me for a chat. That would be great. So from today on, that's kind of how we're going to try to work, at least at the beginning, but it's going to mold into whatever you want. If you chat with me right away when we open up the show because they're going to be on Monday through Friday, 9 to 12 in the morning. If you're home doing laundry, just turn it on in the background. Listen to what we got to say. Chat with me. Maybe we'll call in. I think we'll be able to figure the call thing out pretty soon too. It'll take a week or two. The show will grow a little bit. Some of you will be on here once in a while. Some of you will be on every day. Some of you will call in. Some of you will chat. But it's really a show for you at a time frame I don't think anything's happening in Lafayette for people in Lafayette. I know a lot of you are working. If you're not working or you're going to be working during this time frame, you can just pop YouTube up on your internet, on your phone, and put it in your headphones, and you can listen to it just like any live podcast anywhere. I guess eventually I'll have to figure out how to get it onto Spotify and places like that, and we'll go from there, and you'll be able to run it too if you're at work. But it's going to be a show for you, and it's going to be something that hopefully all of us enjoy and can talk about and have fun with, all right? So that's the way she's going to go. Let's get into some quick weather again. Let's go right back to it. Top of the hour here, 11:03 right now. I'm going to hit, there it is. I'm going to go back to the temperature right now, see if there's any updates. No updates, still 39 degrees outside. Feels like 41. Heading to a high somewhere in the upper 40s, maybe even scratching out 50 over towards Attica, maybe down towards Crawfordsville, that kind of thing. Locally here in Lafayette, hovering somewhere around 47 to 49 would be a really good guess as for your high temperature today. Wouldn't be surprised for 50. Tomorrow's a little warmer. Wednesday's a little warmer. Thursday's a little warmer. Friday, we're pushing 60 degrees. But rain comes really into the forecast Thursday and Friday, probably later on Thursday into Friday evening, or into Thursday evening into Friday. Maybe some sprinkles overnight tonight and tomorrow morning with a system passing towards our north. For those of you who do not know, I have been a weatherman for over 40 years. Was in the military when I first did it. Knew I wanted to do this when I was 12. I know a lot of us didn't know that. I knew I wanted to be a weatherman. I was your WLFI weatherman back in the 90s and early 2000s for 6 years. Did the military for 14 years before I got hurt. Retired out on disability. Those are my veterans out there. Great to talk with you guys. A lot of you go through the same things I do. Chronic pain, problems, PTSD, a little bit of everything. Maybe we can talk about some of that too if you're out there. I'd love to talk to some of my folks and my fellow veterans out there. Or maybe you're just not even a veteran. You're struggling with something. You got some PTSD or you just need somebody to talk to. We might be the spot to do that on any given day. So I started with I'm a weatherman, and that's what I'm going to talk a lot about, of course, on the show, because that's my intricacy, so to speak. After I went in the military and then I did TV here in Lafayette, I got into the United States Antarctic program, went down to Antarctica and the South Pole and forecasted weather for aircraft down there all over the continent. Got to the South Pole, got to see that. Great times. Did that for almost 20 years, off and on at times. My wife and I were missionaries in Central America for a while. We've been back up here for about 10 years in Lafayette, back in Lafayette. And just doing a little bit. I've worked over at Grissom for a while, but it's always been weather, generally speaking. And now I'm an assistant pastor, too, at a church. So I've got some of that in there. For those of you who don't know, those of you who know me real well know that it's been a real struggle pain-wise from my spinal cord injury in the Marine Corps 30 years ago that I've had in the last 6 months to a year. Sometimes struggles to get out of bed. Sometimes struggles to get in a chair, movement, all kinds of things. Everything hurts. We're trying to get the medicine worked out so it's going to be better. This allows me to kind of stay at home and just still be able to talk to somebody and do something that I like and enjoy without hurting myself too much. So say some prayers for me on that, and hopefully the blessings will keep pouring out and I'll get better. I am feeling better now than I did just a month or two ago. And we'll see if we can figure it all out. Seeing new doctors and working stuff. The VA has been great helping with me with everything, and hopefully we figure it all out here pretty soon. For my benefits, yeah, that would be great, but for my wife and family too, because those of you who have chronic pain or go through struggles tend to take it out on the people around you, and I hate that, being grumpy all the time because I'm in pain and forgetful and just can't focus. I want you to not have those problems too. And God has helped me a lot with that. He's got me through a lot of those times. I've been able to slow myself down, think about Jesus, think about God, focus on those kind of things. Gets me to focus on things. When I first got injured, they started telling me about ways to not think about the injury and the pain and how to get around it. And it was like, think about flowers and mountains and beautiful trees. And as a 30-year-old Marine, I think I was 32 when they were telling me this. I'm like, you got to be crazy. That ain't going to work. But I started utilizing that, and it started working. It does. If you get your focus onto something else, you can take your focus away from the pain that you're suffering at that time frame. And that, for me, was the dive into Jesus. Going through studies, going through the Bible a couple of times, reading, doing that, getting closer to God, got my focus away from some of my pain. Sometimes it gets so bad I can't get away from it. But don't be surprised if you can get yourself focused on something else. You can take away some of those other things. In a way, it's its own addiction, getting away from those bad things and thinking about good things. It's trying to stay positive all the time. If an addiction is alcohol and that takes you away from your problems, why can't your addiction be being positive? Because that can take you away from problems too. Okay? Just one of those things to think about. There'll be a lot of that kind of thing happening here at times where I'll throw out some wisdom that may be good or may be bad, depending on who you are. You may not like it or you may love it. Who knows? We'll have to see. All one or two of you that are watching right now, hopefully this grows to be a little bit bigger than that by the time we get through the show. In the next month or 2 or 3 or 6 months, we'll try to figure out if it's worth it and keep on doing that. That's kind of fun too. So let's see what we're going to work on right now. It's 9 minutes after 11. We got about 50 minutes to go in this show. Hopefully your day is going well. Maybe you're doing some laundry. Maybe you're driving a truck somewhere. Maybe you're just out on vacation and you're watching. Maybe you're just locally taking the kids somewhere because you got little ones and they're not in school today while all the other kids are in school. Or maybe you're at work and you popped it into your headphones. That's something you can do. Something you can do for sure. We've covered some of the local things that happened locally in the first hour, especially. We kind of covered some of that stuff. We talked about Purdue winning the basketball game on Saturday and Braden Smith setting the all-time Purdue record, of course, and, of course, the Big Ten assist record, while Fletcher Lawyer scored 20 and the Boilermakers improved to 13-1. Wow, they got a lot of momentum now. They're 3-0 in the Big Ten, and they're moving forward. A good team, a very good team. A team I think may only end up with about 3 losses. I know that's putting a heavy burden on them as the season goes on. I thought they'd lose one preseason. They did. They lost Iowa State, got stomped. That probably woke everybody up in that one. They've looked great since then, winning by an average of I think 26.6 points in the 5 games since then. They're headed into some teams they should be strong against. Hopefully they'll be able to win those. I think they'll win one during the or lose one during the regular season, maybe 2, and then either win out the Big Ten tournament or lose one in the Big Ten tournament before they win the national championship, sweeping 6 games in March Madness. That's my outlook. All right. My outlook was also for Braden Smith to break the all-time assist record in the game against Indiana if he could average 12 assists per game. Well, he's at 10 right now, so he's not very far off. I also saw things early in the season before everything started where I saw a fall off in scoring for TKR, which has happened, although he's going to come back big in some games. I saw an uptick in rebounds, but he's done way better than anybody expected, and it is great to see. He is all over the court. He's spreading things around. He's moving things. Braden's running all over the place, and he's setting people up for different shots and different assists for him. This helps with Clough on the opposite side of TKR, who's doing a double-double machine himself. So is TKR, so is Braden. All 3. It's nice to have 3 guys on a team that are double-double machines, right? Whether it's assists or rebounds. One of the best rebounding teams in the nation. They're the number 1 offense in the nation. I said they'd be in the top 10 probably for defenses, and they are right now, 14th or 15th, I think they are. This is a good team. This is a national championship contender. You have guys who have history. They're dominant when they were in their history. They've been winners. They know how to do it. They know how to go about it. And I believe this is the season they're going to get it done. That's for sure. And along with that, it made me kind of focus a little bit on the Memphis Grizzlies because Zach, our Big Ten Player of the Year a couple years in a row, a National Player of the Year from Purdue, has gone to Memphis, and I've been watching them a little bit more than even the Pacers and the Bulls. So just kind of keeping an eye on them. Although Zach's out with an injury right now, hopefully he's going to come back pretty soon. So the men won their game 89-73 over Wisconsin in Wisconsin on Saturday night. They're playing Wednesday night, it looks like. And they'll be obviously, it looks like most of the season, I looked at the schedule, lots of Wednesday and Sunday games for them this year. It bounces every once in a while, but they're pretty consistent on those nights. So if you're off those nights or those days on a Sunday, maybe at noon or 2 or 4, you can watch some of those games too. The Bears got into the playoffs. They're the number 2 seed in the NFC. They're playing Saturday night against the Green Bay Packers. Yes, so they got themselves into the playoffs. Record set with Williams as their quarterback, the most yards of a Bears quarterback in Bears history. I think he made it last night. He was right on the verge the last time I had looked, so I figured he probably got there. So sports-wise, a lot of things going on and a lot of excitement. We're heading towards baseball season. Basketball's right in the thick of it. Football is coming down to the end. We got the Super Bowl coming up in a month. You got the NCAA championship. And yes, even as a Purdue fan, I am rooting for the Indiana Hoosiers to win the national championship in football. Yeah, some of you are shaking your head going, no way, you can't do it. But here's the deal. If they're in my state, I'm a Hoosier. I may be a Purdue fan first, but I am a Hoosier fan second, and I would love for them to win the national championship in football. Just to shut other people up, if it's for anything else, I guess. So I'm not one of those that says, I hate the Hoosiers no matter what. Yes, when they're playing Purdue, I want Purdue to win, okay? That's obvious. But it's the same thing in, like, baseball in Chicago. Cubs play the White Sox, I want the Cubs to win. But the White Sox are in the World Series, I'm going to root for the White Sox, right? I'm going to root for that because they're my local team. They're closer in, even though the Cubs are my number 1 team of all time. So that's how that kind of works out, and hopefully you're the same way as me. But the Pacers aren't playing great, and neither are the Bulls right now, and neither is Memphis. So they're all kind of middle-of-the-pack kind of teams. Are they going to get there? They got injuries. Are they going to have great plays coming up with their guys coming back? Will they kind of mold together once everybody's healthy? We'll have to see as the season goes on, but even regular professional basketball is already about halfway through the season, even though they drag it out all the way to June. So some excitement there. We talked about some things that were happening in town locally. We talked about a West Lafayette man who got sentenced in an aggravated battery case, and he got 20 years for a shooting that happened in 2024. We talked a little bit about space heaters because the Lafayette Fire Department emphasizing space heaters and how they can be problems. They tend to start fires if they're not taken care of, especially. So, and there had been 4 recent fires in Lafayette that they were worried about. So space heaters is one of those things this time of the year you got to think about. And some of those prevention tips that, to keep your house safe during the winter, taping your windows possibly, things like that to keep some of the cold air out. Helps with your financial bills too, in your electric and that kind of thing. So that's something to keep about there too. All kinds of new laws are going to be popping up. They just popped up in the last few days between property taxes. There's weird things on bingo rules coming out. SNAP changes are out there. I'm sure a lot of you know about the SNAP changes. Like you're not going to be able to use things for certain types of food now if you're getting some subsistence. You're going to only be able to buy your meat and your cheeses and your foods that you got to have. You're not going to be able to buy those sweets and those energy drinks. Hey, a lot of you don't like that, but that's the way it is right now. That's the way the rules are going. There'll be some local impacts, of course, on residents and businesses. You can find out a lot of this information either on JC Online, the Journal and Courier, straight up on them, WLFI, Star City News, and Purdue has a lot of stuff on some of their websites too. So that's where you can find a lot of this information if you want to go and see what's going on in these type of things that'll pop up on the show every day, right? So we talked a little bit about in the city about warning how wastewater can run off into low-lying areas and be a risk this time of the year, especially during heavy rains and snow melts. So if we get a big snow, say later in the year, and then bam, right after we get some heavy rains, a lot of this nasty wastewater stuff can settle into areas and can be a problem for people. So the city's wanting people to be environmentally aware of what's going to happen, especially in and along the river, Wabash River, for those of you in the north up near Tippecanoe before they come together. So something to think about there. In your history, we haven't had too many problems. I remember when I was at WLFI, though, we had like 2 or 3 years in a row, or 3 out of 5 years, something like that. The river flooded the golf course, and part of the reason they got rid of the golf course was because it kept flooding all the time, and they had to reseed it. I can't remember a lot of big flooding in the last 10 years. It's just been a drier time frame, more like normal, not the big flooding like we saw those years when I was at WLFI. And it's probably a good thing, but we still need the rain for growth. We need rain for our crops. We need rain for all kinds of different things too. We just don't need an overabundance of it, right? So they were warning about the wastewater having problems if we get like one of those big snows and then a rain right after it. There's a Greenfest festival going on. They're planning on this for 2025. Apparently it's a June event. They're going to have workshops about it. They're going to talk about it. There's a lot of early buzz in this system about this, and they want to talk about sustainability focused. What the Greenfest 2025 planning is all about. You can find stories on that at, like I said, WLFI, JC Online. Let me see if I can find where it is. Living Green hosts Greenfest 2025 with workshops and a kids zone that you can even see on this. So there's a lot of information on there. Saturday, June 7th is the date. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's at the Big Four Depot and the Reilly Plaza, so right downtown you'll be able to do that. Get into Greenfest. What are they going to be doing there? Well, the Greenfest will feature nearly 20 local organizations promoting various environmental causes, okay? That's what they're going to be pushing for you. The attendees can connect with experts. They'll be able to gather resources and learn steps toward a sustainable lifestyle. Workshops on composting, energy efficiency, invasive species, and energy democracy will be held throughout the day. There will also be a clothing swap station for exploring sustainable, fashionable clothes and choices. So, Kids Eco Zone will be there to offer educational coloring and interactive activities for your young participants. So that's what it says on the story. That's straight off of WLFI. You can go there and see a little bit more about it. You can probably find some video on it. It sounds pretty good. You're going to find I'm going to be one of the weathermen that does not believe in global warming. Do we have climate change? Yes, we do. Climate change is a yearly thing. It happens every year. You can focus on one single day and find almost anything. This is where I get on my soapbox a little bit as a weatherman, all right? I've been taught that everything is constantly changing. I've been taught that we are much colder than the history of the earth has been but we keep complaining it shouldn't be warmer. We're also taught that warmer weather brings in some great things like more crops, more rain, more different things that can help us instead of hurt us, but we keep continuing to think that it's going to be so warm we're going to burn the atmosphere up or whatever it is. We're told CO2 is bad, yet trees are the things that live on CO2, right, in our plants. We're told that we got to spend all this money to fix everything, where in my opinion, all we got to do is keep planting trees. The more trees you plant, the easier it is to scrub the atmosphere of the CO2 and make things a little bit better, right? But there's no money in planting trees, so that's probably why they're not doing that. We had a little going joke in Antarctica when scientists would come down. If the scientists couldn't find anything plausible that would make him money to bring him back for another season, then he couldn't find anything, right? If he didn't put something into his information that he sent back to the United States when he came back and did his briefings to people, he would not get money for the next year. That was kind of a going joke that they were putting things in to make sure they could come back the next season. I don't know if that all just blew up and became crazy, but the politicians got a hold of it, obviously, and then it's run rampant from there. That does not mean you cannot put up solar panels. You should. I think that's great. Use those. Wind turbines, great thing. We used them in Central America. They ran our cabanas down there. They gave us power so people could power their phones when they came down on missionary trips. And it worked pretty good. I liked it. We didn't have any power out to our property. We were out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm not against solar at all. I'm not against wind. I'm not against doing any of these things. Just we can't bankrupt our entire country doing it. All right, coming down off the soapbox a little bit on there. So if you got solar panels, great for you. Use them. Hopefully they're helping you and you're getting something out of them. But don't bankrupt the entire world trying to save it from something we can't really fix. Okay? So there you go. One of those funny things. Killing the cows. I don't understand that. Methane. Okay. All right. So let's get back to some of the other things we talked about. We've talked a little bit about in town stories of local businesses' success, especially some of the young entrepreneurs that are trying to get momentum going in Lafayette. There's a story on WLFI and then JC Online about some of those things too. Health Services was talking about how they're changing their navigation for Medicaid, and the mobile clinics that you can find, and that you'll be able to find information online, and community health access will be there pretty easy too. And you're going to want to go to tippecanoe.indiana or in.gov, and you'll find a lot of information on your health services there for Tippecanoe County if you're in need of some of that. What other things did we talk about in the first hour? There was a lot. Holiday closures and 2026 schedules are being set up for things like government. Winter recess notes are coming out for next year. Planning for residents. Everything's getting scheduled for the entire year is coming out, and it's in your government sites, your tippecanoe.in.gov sites. Maybe some stuff in Purdue also in your education site there that they have. Like the trash is being changed. There's a little bit of differences. And all that information can be found out on those websites. Specifics on a specific day that's being moved from here to here. And if you have that day, your trash will be picked up on the next day or something like that. So those are things you can keep in mind and things we talked about in the first hour. I didn't even talk that much about Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro being captured. I think I briefly covered it for a minute or two on each time, but on Friday night, we had this dramatic military operation where we ran in our helicopters, our special ops forces, our black ops guys, the recon, the SEALs, anybody who was involved was pretty high tech. We went in there, we swooped into the compound where Maduro was staying on one of his bases, and we got him before he was able to get into some kind of safe room, which I guess we could get into eventually anyway. But we got him before he got in there, and we took him back to the States along with his wife. And they are now in the United States facing drug charges. Not for being a bad president, which he is, but for drug charges because he's a terrorist and been qualified and made a terrorist by his drug affiliations and what he was doing. Those of you out there following this who may not like it, he was given many chances to try to change things. There was a time years ago when there was a election that he ignored and he just kept power. That was the first thing that started stinging people, and the Venezuelan people have been suffering for it ever since because they are a communist regime down there. They're in bed with China. They're in bed with Russia. Both of them help them. It's in our backyard. They're only 1,000 miles from the United States. It's not the Cuban Missile Crisis, but it is an influence. So we put our foot down, and it looks like we're dragging Maduro out of there. And I don't know who's going to be running the country, to be honest with you. I'm sure we're going to be overseeing some things. We're not going to run their country, regardless of what people keep telling you. Oh, Trump says he's going to be running the country. He knows what he's talking about, and he's baiting you a little bit to get you to go running around with your head cut off a little bit, all right? That happens almost every day with Trump if you keep an eye on it. He'll say something, and people will run around crazy saying all these things, and he's just kind of baiting you into doing things. Stop being over the top about some of that stuff. And I know on the opposite side, on the Trump side, you did the same thing with Biden when he would say things. So focus yourself, try to figure yourself out, get all your information, go through Fox News, CNN, all of them to figure out what you want to do. Don't just focus on just one, just Fox or just CNN or just CBS or just the New York Times. Get all your information and try to figure out what you think should be done and what you think. And then just chat about it, right? I would love for some of you to get on here and chat and tell me what you think about what is happening in Venezuela, right? What are they going to be doing there? Is it going to be rough? Is it going to be hard change for them? Are they going to become a nation like us? The woman who looks like she won the last election and should be taking over, is she going to be taking over? It looks like that's a strong possibility, at least for a while, down in Venezuela. But it also brings in another thing. They're close to us. We're saying it's in the Western Hemisphere. They're close to us. We don't want China or Russia getting in on the mix of this and getting into our neck of the woods. Well, aren't we doing the same thing over in Taiwan? Although our Taiwan affiliations with them have been for decades and decades. China's trying to do the same thing with Taiwan to take Taiwan back, right? They want them back in their mix and in with them, and we're the ones trying to stop them. So my question is, aren't we doing the same thing? See, I can see both sides of the story in this, the good and the bad, and you may see that too, and I'd love to hear from you if you could. So, what do we got over here? Anybody hit that? Nope. All right, good. So that was one of the stories we covered, Maduro. What I thought was awesome was we got in and out of there. We did not lose a single person. I've not heard about injuries or anything yet right now. All I'm hearing is Trump said he's going to run Venezuela. Okay, you run with that. You're going to have fun, and you're going to ask yourself, why did I do this a few days from now? Because it's not going to end up that way. You know it's not going to end up that way. And but we have so many people just stirring the pot all the time. It just annoys me, I guess. Sorry. Back on the soapbox, and you're going to hear a lot of that from time to time. Let's see here where we got this. CBS News. Okay, Trump says U.S. is in charge of Venezuela, and a Saturday press conference that the U.S. would run Venezuela temporarily. He said temporarily, but you notice in all of the reports, and that's from CBS, it says temporarily. In most of the reports I saw, they dropped the word temporarily out of there. Now, why would you do that? Why would you drop the word temporarily out of there and try to stir up people and make them think that we're going to take over? Right? That's my point. And again, that goes on both sides. Both sides, whether you're left or right, does that. I find myself in the middle, libertarian, leaning right. Okay? I don't want the government mixed into a lot of my stuff. It's supposed to be there to help out. I can see some of the stuff on the left being right, and I like some of it. I see some of the stuff on the right being right, and I like it. So left and right, doesn't matter. But the libertarian part of me says I don't want the government mixed into all my stuff. They're just there for reasons. When it comes to things like giving money to people and doing stuff like that, I believe that the churches, the people, should do it willingly, and you should go out on your own and do your own missionary work, and you should do your own to help people. That's what I believe we are taught to do and we should do. Not the government grabbing all of our money and just using it wherever they want. And then finding out things like there are daycare centers in Minnesota that have spent billions of dollars in the last 5 to 10 years of our money with no kids in their daycares. Okay? What are we supposed to do with that kind of thing? That's wasted money, right? Wasted money. We need to find those things and get rid of those things. And unfortunately, the entire government, no matter where it is, no matter where it's set up, whether it's communist and obviously in our system, can be corrupted and looks like it has been in a lot of different places. So it's astounding how people go to jobs and try to become a congressman or do something, maybe become president, or they become whatever it is, and they're working for the government, and they immediately go into finding ways to get themselves money, okay, and to enrich themselves. Now, it's easy for me to say as an old man, I don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. I need my family around me. That's what I need. I need my family, and that's it. And I need to have Jesus on my side. Those are the things I need. Maybe you're like that. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're one of those people that's got to have all those things. I went through those days just like everybody else. Got to have some money. Got to have this. Got to have that. Gotta. God is going to get you in a lot of different places, and most of them are going to end up poor and bad. Staying positive, bringing Jesus into your life, is going to bring blessings that you can never imagine. And everyone who's done it and has gone through it and stuck with it and really focused on it and had their faith in it has said that and believes it, and I'm one of them too. Despite all my problems, despite all the problems I have, all the people around me who struggle with problems, we all believe in Jesus and we're better off for it. And because of that, our lives are better. I have someone to talk to. I have people that will help me. All my family is not just me, but it's my church around me too. And if you're in church, and many of us are, that's a great thing. Our church talks about the 67%, not the 6-7. I'm talking the 67% of Lafayette and Tippecanoe County who don't go to church. Those are the people we want to focus on. Those are the people we want to get into the doors. Doesn't matter what you look like. Doesn't matter whether you have an ankle bracelet around your ankle. Doesn't matter if you just did drugs the day before or in the parking lot before you came through the doors into the church. We don't care. Come in the doors. Find Jesus. Find some help. Find some people who are there and they want to be with you. All right? And want to help you. That's what we want to do. And I believe all of us are supposed to do that. Not the government taking everything and trying to help other people and not using our money in the proper way that we're supposed to. It's a tough thing. I know. It's a tough thing to talk about, and I can see how people are good on both sides, and I see good things on both sides too, and I see bad things on both sides, all right? So just keep it in your mind that way. I'm not harping on you if you're on one side or the other, all right? Just think of it that way. That was one of the things we talked about in the first couple of hours, all right? And we talked about some sports things. We talked about weather. We talked about national potential stories. The Maduro thing got big here just a little bit ago. I was talking about it. What do you think is going to happen with Maduro? Send me something. Let me know what you think so I can get it out there to other people. I talked about this last hour too. Once we did something with Maduro and we put our foot down and showed our power, Little Rocket Man had to show his power. Have you seen that in guys before? Look at me, look at me. Yeah, that's what happened with Little Rocket Man in North Korea. Ballistic launches he did. Of course, we condemned it as we always do, and everybody did. But it leads to regional tensions between Japan, China, North Korea, South Korea, all through that area, Taiwan, when they do stuff like this, when North Korea sends up missiles like this to show he's the big guy on the block instead of the guy that we know he is, all right? You can find out all kinds of information on that too, but that was kind of something you would have expected, I would think. Just as the expected going in and getting Maduro was going to be a pretty clean thing for the United States, not losing anybody. I've not seen the exact number of people that got lost on his side, some of the guys who fought back, but we did get in there and get him clean on that, and hopefully that leads to some good stuff for the Venezuelan people, all right? So, what else did we cover? Oh, man, I'm looking at a lot of this stuff. Here's the one we didn't cover. FEMA and security funding. I didn't talk about this. The World Cup prep is coming up, right? So I think I just quickly mentioned it. So we're worried about national safety with the World Cup being in the United States. And we got to look at it in a broader context of how it works and how it's going to affect us. And there's actually press releases and information on the DHS site that talks about what can be done, where you can go, how kinds of information you can get from it. Let me pop on one of the fact sheets here. This one, so you can send in for information what you want. They have apps you can look at. DHS digital services that it can help you find out information on the preparedness on the public safety around all the events that are coming, the training they're going to run as they go through this to keep you safe, what businesses are involved, what if there's a disaster that happens, what kind of responses are going to happen. There's all kinds of apps for this now. There's all kinds of things on the DHS, Department of Homeland Security that are out there that you can find information on that. So that's one of the things coming up. I'm not a soccer fan, but I am excited when the U.S. plays because that's my home team, right? So I will be watching when the U.S. plays, even though I'm not a big, huge soccer fan. I think a lot of you will be too. And hopefully there's some games close enough to us that you can go get to them. And I'll try to look up some of those for maybe tomorrow and figure out where some of those places could be, right? Here's something that's been running pretty rampant the last month or two because it got so big is the lottery. Mega Millions, right? And all kinds of different things. And money that was there, it got to almost $2 billion for somebody in Arkansas. Great for them, right? And it was fun nationally. It was fun to see. I would go out and buy one ticket just to say I did it. But generally speaking, it's kind of funny how the lottery can just consume so many people so quickly. Don't get hooked on it too much. Don't blow your whole life savings in there, all right? Go buy one ticket. You'll be fine. It won't hurt you at all. We talked about brain health and how you need to exercise a little bit. That's why I'm going to see new neurologists now. I'm going to get a different opinion of how my health is going with my chronic pain and my spinal cord injury in my neck. And one of their top tips is exercise. Well, now that I'm starting to feel a little better, I'm starting to get out there and do a few more things. It's been very hit and miss, though. I tried Tai Chi one day. I lifted weights one day. I walked a little bit here and there through stores one day or 2 days. So I'm slowly getting into it. And I've got some setups with some people to do that. And I want you to do that too. I just lost over 100 pounds. And it feels great, but my body and my nerves don't feel great. They still feel the same. But not carrying around that weight is nice. It feels better. It feels more comfortable. So if you're struggling with that too, come on, bear down. You can do this. We can do this. Stay positive. Remember I said stay positive. All right. Okay, so when we went into Venezuela, we went into Caracas, and they got Maduro out of there, and he's in U.S. custody. He's in New York right now. Him and his wife, I think they went and stood in front of a judge already this morning, or they're getting ready to. And we're going to try to manage some of the transition of their oil and who else is coming in during that system. There are people around the world who are condemning us. Who would you think would be? Well, of course, Russia and China. They're denouncing it as some kind of violation. But one you probably didn't expect was Brazil. And Brazil is denouncing it also. There's a few responses out there. There's a few people throwing some protests, but right now they're not very big. Because we labeled him a terrorist, we were able to go in and do this. We would not have been able to do this on our own as the president or just about anybody without getting all of Congress together to do this. But because he was labeled a terrorist, which happened, 6 weeks ago? Maybe it was longer. I can't remember which day it was. We were able to go in and take Maduro out and get him out of there. And now he's going to go on trial. That's what's going to happen. And you say, well, you can't do that. The president can't do it. There is precedence. We did this with Noriega back in the day in Panama, right? Same thing. Made him some kind of criminal, which he is, in which there were drug boats running out of Venezuela. Regardless of whether you think they should be bombed or not bombed, there was drugs being pushed towards our country. That is a bad thing, in my opinion. We lost 100,000 people on average over the last 5 years to drugs, to overdoses. I would love to wipe it out. You have friends in your family that are struggling with drugs. You would love to wipe it out. Maybe you're struggling with drugs and you'd like to get off of it. Anything we can do to stop pouring it into our country and to make it harder to get it, I love, because I think that's going to help people, right? Addictions to drugs, addictions to alcohol, pornography, food. I'm a food guy. When I feel bad, I want sweets, so I go to sweets. That's one of my big addictions. Trying to get away from these addictions is going to help all of us. And that's kind of the tendency to push me towards the church and Jesus in the first place, was one of those kind of things, those struggles, going through those daily things. Knowing there was something out there, but I wasn't sure, and I finally dove into it, and it took over. And I want that for you. I want that for everybody around out there, too. So that was Brazil who denounced. Got a little sidetracked there. Venezuela's interim leadership in defiance. Okay, so Delcy Rodriguez has been sworn in, and the military is in unity, right? But there's still uncertainty for their nation. The people are excited there in Venezuela. You've seen videos everywhere of them. They've been in pretty dire straits money-wise as Maduro's taken over everything and has everything for himself over these last years. So they're excited, most of them, that he's gone. That doesn't mean there isn't some people that don't like it. There's people in the United States that don't like it. There's people around the world that don't like it. But in general, most people think it's probably a good thing, and somebody else takes over to help the Venezuelan people. There's been some whiplashes, of course. There's been a market whiplash from these Venezuelan events. Oil bumped up, it looks like. Gold has been surging. That's a good thing if you got gold, right? There's been some geopolitical risks that have changed and moved, and things we've got to look at now. And then what is the long-term Venezuelan potential plan for us and for them? Because a lot of people asked before, when you going in, when are you going to do this? You can't tell you that kind of stuff. But afterwards, you should have some kind of plan. And it seems like no matter what we do, we never hear what the plan is afterwards. We went into Afghanistan and shut Afghanistan down. Got 13 of our people killed. Did all kinds of other people got killed during that bombing besides the 13. There was over 200 people that died in that one bombing. All right? We did it wrong. We got people hurt. We lost a lot of equipment. And they just came right back in and took over anyway. There was no plan. There was no plan other than we're just getting out. We all wanted to get out, but you got to do it right. And what is the plan here in Venezuela? If that place falls apart and it turns into some craziness, well, what is our plan to help them? To help them get back on their feet and become a strong, viable country again, like they were years and years ago. One of the richest countries in South America, and because of their oil and a lot of the things they had in their country. So it was great. So the China's reactions have been, saying no, Russia no, Brazil. But China's reaction and the Taiwan implications, I also talked a little bit about. I said, if we go and do this to Venezuela, why can't China go and do it to Taiwan? Isn't that the same thing? It's in their backyard. We're saying it's in our backyard. We're not going to allow this. Why can China not do that? Matter of fact, Taiwan was part of China at one time before they broke apart. Okay? So why is there not some criticism of us? And why are we criticizing China for that? That does not mean I want China to go into Taiwan and take over. I do not. I prefer they just talk it over and they all figure it out and join together and do whatever. Instead of, we're going to go kill a bunch of people and take over a country because it's ours and it was ours. That's what China thinks. I feel like there will be a limited backlash from us if China goes into Taiwan because of the distance and the possibilities. We have bases over there, but that makes all of our bases sitting, sitting targets, right, so to speak. I've been in Japan. I was stationed there for a while. You're very close to China. It's very easy. You could attack, but there's not enough to attack what China has, right? I also see Taiwan as a very easy foe to take over despite all the weapons they have. They keep talking about, well, they're going to hide their stuff in the mountains. They're going to do all this. Well, why do you not just close up the mountains and then the planes can't come out and shoot at anybody anyway? We're learning that drones are going to take over our wars. Russia and Ukraine showed us that, right? Drones are everywhere now in these. AI is going to be taking over a lot of these too. So why would China not use that if they went in there? We used drones going into Caracas. I know we did. We talked about it. It's been very limited on the backside there. But we had drones to see what was going on. We had drones to bomb things. We had drones to do whatever if needed. That's the way wars are going. So why is China even going to risk any of their people to go in when they can probably come in with plenty of drones themselves? The best months, if they are going to send people across in ships to attack Taiwan because of the seas, are April and November, if you're wanting to do that kind of thing. So, something to keep in mind. I would like to see what China's reaction is going to be on Taiwan after we do something that they think they're doing about the same thing in their mind. In our mind, they're not doing that, but in their mind, they are. So there are pushes and shoves here. One says, hey, we're going to do whatever it takes. Not only do we talk softly, but we carry that big stick, right? But the other one says to China, well, then maybe we can come and do as we want. And I feel like there's no way we dive into that. We dive into that war in China with China at Taiwan, or we dive headfirst into a war with Russia. It's not good for any of us. So now, I hate to say it, I feel pacifist in my own ways. But I would prefer people be alive than dead, and we figure out something to work things out. When you look at Russia, the Ukraine-Russia thing, and people keep wanting to say, well, Russia did this or did that, Russia continued to tell everybody that Ukraine cannot be in, right, NATO. But then what did we do? We started saying we're going to put Ukraine into NATO, and then Russia reacted. Of course they reacted. So far it's not gone nuclear. That's a good thing. I'm surprised about that at this point. Not that he would attack everywhere else, but he might use it on the battlefield doing tactical nukes. But he's taken some land. He's kind of put a buffer zone there like he's wanted. People are dying. We keep hearing every day. What I hear on the news is this. Russia loses 1,000 to 10,000 people a day. And I never hear Ukraine losing hardly anybody. It's 3 people got killed in a missile strike here. 6 got killed in an apartment complex in Kiev. And that's it. I mean, literally. But we all know Ukraine has hardly nobody left. So who are we listening to? What are we listening to? Are we listening to those who want to come and, destroy everything? Are we listening to those who want to make things better? Are you in the middle? I don't know where you're at. Let me know. I kind of want things to just die down and stop. Stop arguing with each other. Stop the war. Settle where they're at right now. Yes, that means Kiev has to give up some of their land that they've lost. That's what happens in a war, unfortunately. Maybe down the road you do something about that. I don't know. Maybe down the road everybody gets together 20 years from now and Russia gives back some of Ukraine. Who knows? These are just ideas. But if you don't talk about them and you just keep bombing each other, you know where you're going to head with this eventually. Okay? So, and the other thing I think that bothers me too is Russia attacking Europe. Russia's going to attack Europe. Watch out for Poland and France and Germany and all these different things. Right now, they're struggling with Ukraine. Why would they take on something else unless they go nuke with it? That would be it. But even they know what nuke war means. And that, I think for most countries, it's a last resort. I hope it is. And I hope that strength through force, like we have with our nukes and other countries' nukes, stays forever and no one ever uses it on someone ever again. It's a possibility. It's a probability. It's just the way it is. The Bible tells us things are going to get bad, doesn't it? Sometimes I look out the window and I think, yeah, it's bad already. What are you going to do if the power goes out for months on end? What are you going to do if EMP strikes and you don't have any power anywhere in the country? They say 90% of the people in the United States will die within a year. I don't know if that's true or not. That's a tough thing to think about. That's a tough thing to think about. Are you ready? Are you a prepper? I don't know. Maybe you're a prepper. I could do a lot of things with ramen noodles. I know a lot of people who can. Might be an idea to grab a few of those. Does that mean something's happening right now? Probably not. But there's a lot of things going out there. And as an old man, I start to look at those things a lot closer than I did when I was 22, now that I'm in my 60s. You will too, if you're younger than me. And if you're older than me, you're laughing at me because you're like, yeah, it's about time. But I can remember my grandfather teaching me a lot of things about history, about the way the world works, about how you should act and be, and how important what's going on now is. And I want to pass that on to other people. This is your chance to be able to talk through those things here in Lafayette. It's going to be a small show to start. There'll be just a few people to begin. I'll keep talking every day. And 6 months from now, we'll figure it out whether it's worth it. And hopefully some of you are listening and you'll keep coming back. Some of you will start chatting with me when you get a chance. I'll have to figure that out. I don't know if I'm just not seeing chats or if nobody's chatting. And I'll figure that out after the show. We'll figure that out. But it's still one of those things that I want you to be able to do. I want the show to be you. Yeah, I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk a lot. I'm not Glenn Beck. I'm not any of these big guys, Clay and Travis and any of the other guys that are out there talking. But I'm just a guy who talks and wants to talk with you about many different things. And Lafayette doesn't have that. They don't have somebody doing that here. You can't find it on the radio easily. You can find it in other places, podcasts, and this is one of them that'll start. Okay? So join me every day when you get a chance. All right, we got about 10 minutes left. Let's take a look at the weather again real quick. I'm going to go back and show you, see if there's any updates. Yes, it has updated. All right. Go back here, switch screens. Switch back over. There you go. Up to 41 already. Feels like 46. Winds still out of the southwest from me, 8 miles an hour. So that's pretty good. It's comfortable. It's chilly. Because of the sun, it says it feels like 46, but there's probably a wind chill of about 34, 33 right now with that wind speed. So something to think about. You still got to bundle up when you go out today. A mix of some sun and clouds. And as the day goes on, we'll probably get up to near 50 degrees. 47 here it shows as a high. I wouldn't be surprised if some of us could hit 50. Tomorrow it says 50. Wednesday 52. 56 on Thursday and Friday. It gets all the way up to 60. And Saturday's back down into the 40s. So a warm-up as the week goes on. If you drive a motorcycle, you might be able to get it out. Best chance of some sprinkles or a light shower tomorrow morning or late tonight. Doesn't even show up on here. And then again Thursday. A system moves in late Thursday into Friday. So Wednesday, I think I might have the slingshot out in the afternoon. We'll have to get it out there and ride it around. Maybe you get your motorcycle out there too. And history-wise, we're above normal for today. Here it is. It shows you. Here's the next couple of days show us way above normal. The black dots are the averages. This is today on this chart. It shows the last couple of days slightly below to right near average. Then we're going to warm up, and then we're going to get back to near average with some cooler temperatures on the cold side for a week or two. And then the very long-range forecasts show more of the same. A lot of cold coming, but that's just because they work with averages for February and things like that. So not bad on the weather front, at least for the local area. We don't have a lot to worry about, at least on that front. Let's go back over here. There I am. And and I think we're going to get through it pretty easily. I guess I can talk 3 hours. A lot easier than I thought. I just got to figure out information. Get through this process. You guys can help me with that. You can chat with me, call me, text me. As soon as I'm done with the show, it'll be great. I don't know, I might run out and get something to drink and do something. Maybe I'll see you somewhere. Kids will be back from school pretty soon for most of you. That's pretty good. It's nice to get a day off from watching the kids once in a while after a long winter break. If that's you, if you've been watching your kids and they're at school today. But there's a lot of things going on in the world. And a lot of things that I think are important for us to talk about and see. All right? So as we wind down today's big ones, those big things we talked about, from local unity events that we talked about, some things of a green event in the spring, looks like June, I think they were talking about, to national policy shifts, to global unrest. Tomorrow's got more fresh stuff in it. I'll come back again, 9 a.m., right here. There'll be some updates from Lafayette. I'll talk about the weather changes from this system that's going to be coming in. The week one, what did it do tonight? Will there still be sprinkles around tomorrow? Will there still be rain late in the week and warm? We'll talk more about Purdue hoops, right? The game will be coming up Wednesday. So Wednesday, that focus that day, I'll probably hit a lot of Purdue hoops that day, what's going to be happening. We're going to talk some more tomorrow probably about the Bears playoff push that they had. Sure. Yeah, they didn't finish the season strong winning-wise, but they did win their division. First time in a while, and they are the number 2 seed in the NFC. That means they got a home game against who? Green Bay. That's a good news right there. We talked about Trump, what he did over the weekend, going and getting Maduro. What is that going to happen with you? What is going to happen with you? What are your ideas is going to happen? What's that going to do to the world, right? So tomorrow, don't miss out. I'll probably get even more into some of this as I kind of smooth out what I'm talking about, where I'm going with things, what your input is. So deeper dives in your input is going to help a lot.
and I can't wait to see you then. So that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. It's going to be a wrap, basically, for our first Let's Talk Lafayette. What a way to start. Started off with some bumps, trying to get it started. Many shows have started off that way. I want to thank you for joining me today, of course. Whether you're in downtown Lafayette, whether you're in West Lafayette, Tippecanoe County, maybe you're over on the campus, or you're streaming far away. And I'm going to assume this is going to go on the website on there, and you can go back to it if you need to for anything. We hit a lot of local things like our weather, of course, Purdue. We hit downtown stuff that was going to be happening. We talked about the first baby coming into the new year, even though it was 5 days ago. It came in at Franciscan. We talked about some new trash schedules. That was earlier in the show, too, how they're going to adjust a few dates here and there, and you can find that on the tippecanoe.in.gov site. We talked a little bit about some of the rising viruses and some visitation changes at the church, but I kind of just popped over that. At not churches, but at hospitals. They're going to be changing some of the rules, how you get in and out. We talked big time about Purdue hoops with Braden Smith's record in the Wisconsin win. We talked about that and how he broke the all-time Big Ten record in assists. And I want him to average 12 assists on the year so he can break the all-time record in the Indiana game on like February 20th. But I think it looks more like during the tournament, if everything goes right, he'll do that if he averages his 10 that he's doing now, because he's almost at 10. I think it's 9.6 last I looked. So that would be great. He had, 12 assists, I think, on Saturday, and he scored 14 points. And he had a double-double, and Clough had a double-double. It was a great game. They beat Wisconsin up in Wisconsin, and they're still the number one team offensively, and they're the top 14 now defensively. And I think that trend is going to change. Or stay as it is, as it changed from earlier in the season, as I expected. We talked a little bit about women's basketball. They're building. They're stronger. They're getting better. They took a tough loss the other day, but they were right there in it. We talked about nationally. We talked about the Colts not making it to the playoffs, the Bears making it to the playoffs, how Caleb was balling out there, really getting some great offensive yards passing, and he broke the Bears records. We talked about the Colts not making it to the playoffs and how they lost their quarterbacks, but they may have found a new one now. That's great. We talked about some of the world headlines grabbing attention, right? It was 3 hours of good talk. It was me talking a lot because it's the first show, from weather to sports and community strength, to my thoughts from 43 years as a weatherman. It's been 43 years. Wow, it has been now, hasn't it? And how cheering our Boilermakers and maybe Chicago and Indianapolis teams are. This is your show. We're going to talk about all those things. We might talk religion. We might talk athletics. We might talk beer. Beer? I don't drink, but hey, maybe that comes down. We're going to talk about addictions. We're going to talk about what's happening in the world. We're going to talk about what our country does, how it's going to affect you, what you think it's going to do. And then we're going to do this all together. It's not just going to be one-sided. It may be at first for a while, but hopefully you'll all be able to start getting in there and start chatting. So as we head out, I want you to think about this. Proverbs 27:1 says this: "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you know what a day may bring." In this unpredictable world, weather's going to flip, maybe, right? I could be wrong once in a while. Sports twists. There's going to be policy changes. There's going to be global shifts from one side to the other, it seems like. And it's going to remind us to live today fully. Cherish folks around us, our families, big time. Plan smart but humbly. And with gratitude and faith, rooted in your hopes and your love of Jesus. That's what I want you to do. Trust God's got this. He's got the unknowns. Be kind now. Find peace in the storms, and your life's going to be good. Stay safe. Safe? What is safe? Stay safe. Bundle up tonight. Going to be in the 30s probably late tonight. Drive carefully. Watch your loved ones this season. Watch out for a little sprinkles overnight and maybe a light shower tomorrow morning. Very isolated, spotty stuff. And I'll be back tomorrow at 9 with more local, Purdue, Chicago sports, national, global, all the talk for you. Take care. God bless. And yours. God bless you and yours. And God bless the Lafayette community. All right? We'll see you tomorrow.